beard. Beard! Feel neglected? Not doing too well with the ladies? Well, I've got the solution for you. Low self-esteem? Grow a beard. Afraid to follow your dreams? Grow a beard. Are you lonely and sad? Grow a beard. You wanna look good and plaid? Grow a beard. Are you working out? Grow a beard. Did your car break down? Grow a beard. Ice caps melting? Grow a beard. Are you stuck in the middle of nowhere and you need to make an important phone call but the battery's dead and you can't find an outlet to plug in your charger? Grow a beard. Grow the beard, feed the beard, brush the beard, manscape the beard, stroke the beard, love the beard, fear the beard, obey the beard, obey the beard, obey the beard, behold the beard, obey the beard, accept the beard, obey the beard, respect the beard, obey the beard.
Oh my God. Becky, look at his beard. It's just so beard. Impress your dates with your beard. Eat a steak with the beard. Chop down trees with the beard. Crush your enemies with the beard. Catch a fish with the beard. Roundhouse kick with the beard. Troll the nets with the beard. Chia pets? Beard. Drive a truck with the beard. Try your luck with the beard. Arm wrestle with the beard. Teenage Mutant Ninja beard. Pet the doggy with the beard. Find your widgets to the beard. Can't grow a beard? Then buy a beard. Do you have a beard? Then grow more beard.
You need to shave this thing.
Shut up, Grandma. Grow a beard. Jump in the beard. Drink to the beard. Cause beards are good and scruff. Obey the beard. Behold the beard. Obey the beard. Accept the beard. Obey the beard. Respect the beard. Obey the beard. I was so empty and lost inside till I grew you. I put my faith in my facial hair to get me through. Well, I can defy the odds again and again with you on my chin. With every moment you grow closer and closer to my heart. I love you, beard.
If you love it so much, why don't you just marry it?
Do you take this beard to be your lawfully wedded beard? For bearder or for worse, in scruffiness and in beard, till shave do you part? I beard. Abe Lincoln had a beard. ZZ Top, epic beard. Dimebag Darrell, Nettle beard. Chuck Norris, kick-ass beard. #1 making beard. Chewbacca is a beard. Santa Claus, Jesus Christ, God has a beard. Obey the beard! Obey the beard! Obey the beard! Obey the beard!
Hell yeah. It's fucking Beard Talk Live. I had to just get that first cuss word in there. I really actually wanted to lead with the word fucking, but I didn't quite accomplish my goal, so I'll have to set better goals next time. Can you guys hear all right? You know where your volumes are?
Saying fucking is a better goal?
I think, well, leading Beard Talk Live, because it's uncensored, it's very important to me to cuss every episode, as you know.
Yes.
And so I was gonna, I was hoping that I would start the show off with a cuss word at least, right? But probably the word fuck or fucking or something like that. But instead I said a word before fucking. But either way, I got it in there early, which I think is good because fuck the FCC.
Fuck the FCC. And show me the goddamn exception in the First Amendment where it says that they can require a license to run a fucking radio station.
Right?
Right.
I didn't see any.
Government claims to own the air, of course. So that means if you send something over the air that they don't like, why, they're going to send first threatening letters, and then probably some men with some badges, perhaps even armed ones.
We don't need no stinking badges.
And if you resist those men with badges, they purport the authority to kill you.
That's funny. I always thought the air was free. What with the phrase literally being as free as the air. Like we think of birds. Yeah. Birds are symbols of freedom because they're as free as a bird. They're in the air because air is free. It's nature. It's that with which no labor has been mixed. It's free game.
I always like bringing up birds, particularly like migratory birds, ducks specifically, has been my repeated go-to when speaking to statists about things like passports. And I like to point out that you never see ducks flying south having to stop at customs and show their fucking passports to get across the border, do you? What about the little squirrels and shit? How about deer that, like, on the northern border of the U.S., right? Do they got to stop and pay a fee to visit Canada? Or can they just sort of come and go freely as they please?
Well, there is one hole in that. So there are territorial animals.
Well,
they
rabbits,
tend to be predators.
They always have holes. But anyway, what?
But no, so for example, if you are
tell me humans aren't predators.
That's my point exactly.
Right.
If you're a lion,
I would say humans aren't predators, but governments are predators.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
I'm going to push back on that one. I wish they were mere predators. They are predatory, but if they were merely predators, they wouldn't be parasites. Like, if governments just killed people, like, okay, enough government and it will just straight kill you. The USSR is a great example of that. Mm-hmm. Like, so much government that they just starved millions of people to death. Mm-hmm. Whereas government tends to be a parasitical predator.
Are humans the apex predator?
Ooh. So I was thinking about that.
Governments are the apex predator at this point because nothing preys on them.
I can't really disagree with you. I was thinking, yes, humans are, but then you're like, government. I'm like, yeah, government. It's more accurate to say governments are the apex predator.
Yeah.
I was going to say bed bugs, but there's really not that much difference.
Like,
I think you'll find that governments have killed a lot more people than bed bugs.
That's true.
And my second, besides humans, my go-to for the second, number 2 in my list of apex predators, prior to you mentioning government as a possible apex predator, would have been cockroaches. But then I realized that, well, you just said government, and that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's just a parasitic life form.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking the same thing about bed bugs. It's like, there really isn't that big of a distinction. It's like, okay, it exists exclusively because humans are here. Nothing feeds on it. It doesn't feed on anything but people. Man, that is just like government.
Before we go on, I should say that this show is called Beard Talk Live. We're on episode number 21.
We are.
So
21.
And in that vein...
Oh, is Beard Talk Live old enough to drink?
It is.
What's Beard Talk Live drinking?
Mead. For special occasions.
Is it... I'll have none, of course, but is it a special kind of mead, or is it, your average?
It's what they had.
Yeah, okay.
This one is Kurt's Apple Pie from Moonlight Meadery, which is local, so...
We're not getting paid anything by these people? It's just what we have?
Nope. I just happen to enjoy this mead.
But hey, if you know who runs the meadery, let them know that you heard about their product on Beard Talk Live. And
see if we can get some official sponsors.
I just thought of a new service to offer people too. We could offer mediation, right? Where you don't get any of our advice until we've had at least 3 or 4 pints of mead. Right, then we can give our opinions. Right, mediation. Right, get it? And you spell it MEAD. Right,
yeah. And I'll tell you, they might be more amenable to mediation with some mead.
Right.
Although I'll tell you, I would rather do weediation.
Yeah.
Because
way easier.
The thing is, 4 drunk guys will start a fight.
Right.
4 stoned guys will start a band.
Yep. And so have they done. Throughout all of history, formed bands.
Yeah.
We are a call-in show if you'd like to. It's 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. I am the host, first chair, Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass. Who are you?
And I am the nobody formerly known as Rich Paul.
And I am the co-host, Pope of the Church of the Invisible Hand, Space Wizard, and Space King.
Oh. Well, of all
Beakless
space?
Mountaineer. Intergalactic space. No, I thought about that. So
It isn't
his
all
claim,
space,
no, his,
Doesn't that make you
no,
king
no,
of
no.
nothing?
All of this space is inside a galaxy. It does in fact make me king of nothing.
Yeah, because there's nothing there.
Well, if
By
I'm an
definition.
intergalactic space king, it's where the galaxies aren't. Now, personally, I think I'm plasma king, but I subscribe to plasma cosmology, so I think that there are plasma streamers between every star in the heavens. And that appears to be the case.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, and they will not allow you to research it. Because if you prove plasma cosmology, you will put so many academics out of a job, and what's worse, you'll destroy their reputation.
Why?
Because all of their doctoral theses would be blown away by it. Like, it
Well,
introduces a whole different cosmology. So, like,
The
they
thing
are
is,
wrong
they
about
don't
everything.
they don't take your degree away when the science changes, and the science is expected to change. You
Well,
know.
that would be nice if it worked that way. But you lose so much reputation when your doctoral thesis is proved wrong that, I mean, you may as well not even be in that social club anymore.
Well, I don't know about the social club.
Well, that's exactly what it is.
My dad's a PhD, but I don't think he chilled with the club much.
Well, in general, people that are in academia are rewarded by their social status. And if your theory is bollocks, you lose a lot of social status.
Yeah, see, I think that would be a very limited effect because everybody's cosmology right now is based on disjoint stars. So they would have so much company. It's like,
Oh yeah, it would overthrow.
you know, it's like if half of town decides to shun the other half of town,
yeah.
both of them
Well,
go
from the
on
wrong
just
side of the
fine.
track.
Well, so that's the thing, though. If
Sounds do that.
plasma cosmology gets proven correct, and you are a plasma cosmology theorist, okay, if you're trying to get the same job as this guy whose theory just got kicked out, you're going to have the job, and he's not. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like,
See, I
they
would
wouldn't get
not
rid of
at
the
all-
entire thing, but you would end up having this group suddenly at the top of it, and that is completely unacceptable to the people who have paid their dues in academia.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, I would not, like, if I was hiring a physicist for some reason, and a lot of physicists do become computer programmers, come to think of it. I did hire a PhD physicist once. I didn't know
Does
what
that stand for pretty heavy, dude?
Actually, the degrees are BS, bullshit,
Oh, yeah, that's
MS, more of the same,
Oh, I thought it was
and
more shit.
PhD is piled higher and deeper.
I thought MS was
That one I
more
knew
shit.
about.
I knew it was bullshit, and then I thought MS was more shit.
I always heard more of the same,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I like your version.
comes to the same
like it.
thing.
It's got a good beat, and I can dance to it. I give it a 9.
No.
Before we go any further,
Oh, I love this Carlin recording.
Oh, this one isn't Carlin.
Perhaps one of the most interesting words in the English language today
That's
is the
Carlin.
word fuck.
I love this bit and this whole video.
Yeah.
I really love.
It's
Is
actually
this
funnier than the
Carlin?
7 words. Yes, it is Carlin.
Wow.
It doesn't sound like him. I'm uncertain, but it could be, and I don't even care if it isn't. But
Out
got
of
the
all
range
of the
for it.
English words that
Listen
begin
to
with the
the
letter
voice.
F, fuck is the only word that is referred to as the F word. It's the one magical word. Just by its sound can describe pain, pleasure, hate, and love.
yeah, like what's the T word? Right? I don't know. Right?
Good
The B
question.
word, I guess, could be bitch. Right? I've heard.
Yeah,
she got
yeah.
called the C word. I guess could be
the
cunt.
C word.
Right?
Yeah.
There's an A word.
Yeah, we
asshole?
used to have counties ruled by counts and
Kingdoms ruled by kings.
Kingdoms ruled by kings, duchies ruled by dukes. Now
now
we
we
have
got-
countries.
Ruled by. All right, here we go.
Fuck, as most words in the English language, is derived from German, the word frichen, which means to strike.
Ironically, I can say frickin' on the radio all I want.
Hey, flick you, man.
Right,
In
yeah.
English, fuck falls into many grammatical categories. As a transitive verb, for instance, John fucked Shirley. As an intransitive verb, Shirley fucks. Its meaning's not always sexual. It can be used as an adjective, such as, John's doing all the fucking work. As part of an adverb, Shirley talks too fucking much. As an adverb enhancing an adjective, Shirley is fucking beautiful.
I try and invent like new ways to cuss, and so sometimes you'll hear me say something like "son of a fuck," you know, something like that. I'll try and jumble it up and make it unpredictable, so that if you're in public or something and people hear it, ones who are used to cussing won't really, pay attention unless you jumble it up like that. Then they're like, "Hey, wait a minute, that's not usually how that phrase goes."
There are people that studied putting fuck in the middle of a word and what exactly determines where
I sat next to a woman who claimed to be a PhD candidate in English on an airplane, and she claimed she was writing her doctorate on infix use of the word fuck.
Nice.
Infixed?
Infix word. That means inside of another word, like in fucking credible or unfucking believable. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah, and it has to be abso-fucking-lutely. It
can't be
ab-fucking-salutely. It can't be absolute-fucking-ly. No, it has to be abso-fucking-lutely.
Right.
You're doing it wrong otherwise, and there are rules to where you put it.
But then again, that's part of the captain's art, is he likes to do it wrong.
There's that.
There are rules
son of
to
a
where
fuck is wrong.
He just said there are rules to where you got to put it. All right, here we go.
As a noun, I don't give a fuck. As part of a word, abso-fucking-lutely, or in-fucking-credible. And as almost every word in a sentence, fuck the fucking fuckers.
That's the greatest sentence I think I've ever heard. If they're, this means there's no such thing as a perfect sentence. Oh, that was that in my mind. That was it. Fuck the fucking fuckers.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's better than Buffalo, like 8 or 9 times, whatever that is, to be the official longest sentence. That's one word. Even though I know there's a different word in here when he says "fuck the fucking fuckers." Or but to
different
me that's
conjugations of the
but
same
to me
word.
I'm gonna bring up "fuck the fucking fuckers" before I'm gonna bring up saying Buffalo 9 times in a row.
I'm pretty sure someone studied this, but I do wonder, how long of a sentence can you make with the word fuck if you use its variations but nothing else? So the fucking fuckers would be cheating.
Right, I understand that.
But fucking and fuckers, as opposed to buffalo-ing buffalo.
Fuckers, fucking
Actually,
fuckers.
you can buffalo because to buffalo someone is to con or fool them.
Right, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. The longest sentence of the same word in the English language is just saying the word buffalo like 8 or 9 times. I
thought
exactly
it was to
how many
charge them, which might be another word, like another meaning for the word. But I thought it was to just rush them.
I mean, let's look
buffalo
it up. Let's not be a source of disinformation here. Let's see what Google has to say.
All right, we'll do that in just a moment.
As you must realize, there aren't too many words with the versatility of fuck, as in these examples describing situations such as fraud, I got fucked at the used car lot; dismay, oh fuck it; trouble, I guess I'm really fucked now; aggression, don't fuck with me, buddy; difficulty, I don't understand this fucking question; inquiry, who the fuck was that; dissatisfaction, I don't like what the fuck is going on here.
I certainly don't like what the fuck is going on.
I don't like what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah. I like what's going on here, as in us sitting down doing this show.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm having fun, but,
But
here's a bubble of reasonable reality in a sea of absolute clown world.
Wow. Yeah. I think I mentioned Free Talk Live sort of being like a beacon of light in a universe of shit, something along those lines at some point in space and time.
The light at the end of the sewer.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
In confidence.
You know, it
He's a
is like
fuck
crawling
off.
through a river of shit and
Dismissal.
coming out clean on the other
Why
side.
don't you go outside and play hide and go fuck yourself? I'm sure you can think of many more examples. With all of these multi-purpose applications, how can anyone be offended when you use the word? We say use this unique, flexible word more often in your daily speech. It will identify the quality of your character immediately. Say it loudly and proudly. Fuck you.
And yes, that was
there we go.
absolutely Carlin, no question about it.
There we go. All right, so I just, to follow up on our conversation that we just had while giving our analysis of the mighty fine uses of the word fuck. Buffalo, 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 buffalo is a grammatically correct sentence in English, often presented as an example of how homonyms and homophones can be used to create complicated linguistic constructs through lexical ambiguity. It has been discussed in literature in various forms since 1967, when it appeared in Dmitri Borgman's Beyond Language Adventures in Word and Thought. It goes on to explain that, each version of buffalo, does different things. One refers to a specific place. One is a verb, meaning
so
to
buffalo,
bully, harass,
buffalo,
or
buffalo
intimidate.
from buffalo, buffalo, fool, buffalo. Their victims are also buffalo.
Right. Buffalo being bison.
So does this have like a semicolon in the middle of it?
Nope. It actually has some capitalization though. So buffalo is capitalized, assumedly because you're beginning the sentence, but the next buffalo is not. The third buffalo is capitalized.
So that would be
and
the
so
town.
is the seventh buffalo is capitalized. So there you have it.
Oh, right, because you're
In
you're
two cases,
fooling
you're
them.
returning to the town of Buffalo.
Right, you're fooling them in the way that someone from Buffalo might intimidate or puzzle them.
Yes. Well, the Buffalo are fooling the Buffalo.
I just wish that the plural of buffalo was
No, they
like
buffalo.
buffalo.
They're not just buffaloing them.
Yeah.
They're buffalo.
Well,
buffalo.
unfortunately, the Romans never encountered buffalo, who were a North American phenomenon. So you're not going to get that kind of pluralization because that only comes with a Latin root.
All right, hold
Which
on a second.
reminds me, I want to make it known that polyamory is wrong.
It's true.
You do not put a Latin prefix on a Greek root. It's
true.
either multi-amory or it's polyphilia.
What if Polly is just feeling amorous?
Huh?
What if a girl named Polly is feeling amorous?
Well, that would be an ambiguity.
Well, you might become polyamorophilia.
we have so let's get out of the way and then we'll get to the phone calls. Normally we do our own little cussing thing here on Beard Talk Live. What is it?
Shit,
Piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. And indeed, definitely George Carlin. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
We should call that our memo to the FCC.
Yeah, what's up, guys? It's Turd Ferguson calling.
Hey, Turd.
Turd
Hey.
Ferguson. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Flushing?
Well, yeah, flushed a lot.
When's your coming
I'm
out
hoping-
party?
Yeah, listen a second. I'm hoping that I could. Let me just preface the call real quick.
Preface the call.
Could you turn?
I'm in
trying.
early sobriety, and I need to. I've been carrying around.
How early? Like
that-
10 minutes ago, or?
Not that early. About 4 months ago.
Okay.
And,
Okay. Well, congratulations.
carrying
If my advice is always go to 90 meetings in 90 days, and if that doesn't fix you, go to another 90 meetings in another 90 days.
Well, I did 90 and 90, and now I'm kind of backing off a little bit just because I have a really hectic schedule these days. But
All right, put a post
I
face on this call.
well, so this might be a long one, and I hope I'm not interrupting. And if this is the wrong show for me,
Oh, we're going to interrupt you plenty.
fuck off.
We'll interrupt you, but don't worry about it. Just keep plowing on.
You go, and maybe you'll get there, maybe you won't, and we'll have fun along the way.
It's like midnight. We don't have any place to go.
All right. Well, so I've been carrying around this resentment for a really long time, and I realized in the past month, when it's reared its ugly head again during my sobriety, that I've been suppressing this problem, dealing with it with drugs and alcohol for a really long time. So I just didn't have to think about it or actually deal with it. So,
and you'll find, chances are, that when you move that, you're going to find more shit underneath it that you were trying to cover up in the first place, and that's when the real work happens.
Yeah.
So what did you identify then?
So I've already discovered what's beneath it, and that's kind of part of the situation, I guess. But I guess let me just take it from the top. This resentment is from my kind of now estranged best friend, and this happened about 10 years ago when I was addicted to synthetic cannabinoids. And at the time, I met through one of these chick friends of mine, another chick who I ended up like really liking. Like, she was really beautiful. I was in my early 20s at the time, and she was like in her late teens. And I like ended up really liking this girl. And just to kind of give you an idea how this began to progress, I think she really liked me too at the beginning. I remember playing my guitar and singing at this party that we were at, one of the first times I met her. And like she could not take her eyes off me the entire time that I was playing the song. And actually, my friend at the time was playing lead guitar sort of over while I was singing, and it was just a really cool thing. And I could just tell, and like our eyes locked when I was playing that song like a few times, and I could just tell at the time that the chemistry was there, right? So
so turd meets girl. Then what happens?
Yeah. So
turd loses girl.
So over time. During the time that I was trying to woo this girl. And now, also, I should say, in my early 20s, I was not the super alpha giga chad that I am now. I was a drug addict. I was young. I was
not super alpha giga chad turd Ferguson.
Yes, I was just regular turd.
Yeah.
What's the meme?
So
what's
you
the
can polish a turd? Is that what you're telling us?
He's all shiny now.
Of course, you got a shiny turd, but anyway, go ahead, turd. I don't want to. You know.
We know you're gonna babble on.
Just
shit with
injecting
you.
some levity.
You know.
We know you're gonna take for fucking ever to tell your goddamn story anyway. So
Right.
All right. More.
So on we go.
Okay. So anyway, as things kind of progressed, I just kind of liked her more and more. But then somewhere along the line, I was just not confident enough to really keep that chemistry going, I think.
So let me ask, did she receive you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you were putting out the vibes, you're trying to woo.
Did you score?
Did she? No, did she reciprocate, I guess, is what I'm asking.
She
you
did
know?
it first.
Was she receptive to your advances?
She was. Well, part of the reason was I wasn't making enough advances. I was trying to play it cool and like, you know, like sometimes.
Yeah, chicks don't dig that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not interested. Well, off I go then. Yeah.
Right. Well, that was. I think that's one of the problems. And then like when I tried to turn it on, I in my awkwardness, early 20s, like I didn't make the right moves at the right time. Like I remember, like I tried to put my arm around her. This one time we were all hanging out at my house, and it just kind of felt like unnatural, you know what I mean? Like it was forced almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so as time went on, she kind of like I think drifted away a little bit, and
the weird thing is, you'd think putting your arm around somebody would be like an introductory thing.
Yep.
But really, if you look at how couples behave, they don't do that unless they've been together for a long time or
a very short period of time.
Very short period of time, but they fucked.
Right.
You know, so that's that. I've always put that in my post-coitus playbook.
Yeah. I find that odd. Let me think about that later.
Well, look,
And to give a little bit of context to what you were going through at the time, like there is an instinct not to do that because it is an incredibly risky thing in a tribal society. So in a tribal society, if you go for the arm around the shoulder and you get rejected, okay, you're out of the gene pool because all of her friends are going to giggle at you, and now you have no wife. You can like get exiled and maybe find one. I don't know.
I've been with a lot of women who have friends that have turned me down. So
we don't exist in a tribal society, but our bodies are geared for them.
Right, biologically.
Yeah. So you're cutting into Turd's shit here. So go ahead.
Okay, don't cut on Turd.
So anyway, and yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. But keep in mind, I was in my early 20s. And this girl, and look, here's another thing. This girl was so hot that she was almost intimidating to me at the time. Okay, I'd only had like 2 steady girlfriends at the time, and I'd had lots of
only
sex,
2 at a time.
No, at the time, not at a time.
Okay. Did you have $1 million, like Lawrence from Office Space? And you were going to get 2 chicks at the same time.
Wow, it cost me a lot less than that.
I think if a guy had $1 million, he could hook something up like that.
All right, so,
dude, if a guy had $1 million, he could hook up with, if you want decent lookers, even 200 a head.
I'm aware. I was imitating a movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
have you not
okay.
seen? Do you not remember that part of Office Space?
I don't.
Oh, so he's.
We don't need to describe it. Just go watch the movie. Turd.
Okay, go ahead, Turd.
Turd, come on.
That was a great.
Sorry, we're all super alpha over talkers.
You got to squeeze your story up, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. So
squeeze it off, pinch it off.
So eventually, we kind of stopped hanging out, and at that time, my friend kind of kept hanging out with her like as friends, and since I was like maybe a little bitter and definitely drug addicted and spending a lot of my time getting drugs, I just wasn't hanging out with them nearly as much as like they were hanging out together, and it came to the point where like eventually like he told me and eventually he told, and by the way, this one time like while I was still trying to woo her
at band camp,
at band camp, I did successfully tickle her, and the chemistry was there, and like she was giggling, and like my friends saw that at the time, and then after like when we stopped kind of hanging out, like my friend told me that one night when they were hanging out, like, and they were all drunk, like he did the same thing to her, like used my tickle move on her, that like after he'd already seen me do it and seen how.
First of all, I've never heard of a turd that tickles, and also you do not own the tickle move, Turd.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay. Tickling is
it's not your move. It's a move.
Yeah.
Some dudes choose to use, some not.
You cannot patent a technology that is already in the public domain, in regular use, and I can tell you as an old fart that the tickle move has been in use probably since before you were born.
Also, I would expect more from a Mega Chad. That's all.
It's true.
Okay, well, this was his pre-Mega Chad days.
Okay, all right.
This was when he was still the little puppy dog.
Okay. Well, and probably it had everything to do with the fact that you weren't hanging out with her as much because out of sight, out of mind. Now there is a truth to absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Men are different. Men are like, if she's out of my sight, I'm out of my mind.
I agree with that. But
if you have a connection that is strong enough, then absence makes the heart grow fonder. But when you're just building that up in the first place, out of sight, out of mind. Like, you have to keep reinforcing your existence in our world, or it's just not going to be salient.
Yeah, I totally know all that now, but at the time I didn't. But the only reason he used the tickle move after I did was because he watched me do it, and he saw that she accepted it and like giggled. and
Classic
laughed.
drug
He would've
addictive
never been-
behavior. I learned it
Well,
from
my
watching
point is, he
you.
would never-
Does that mean
Look,
that after somebody's watched me fuck somebody, they can never fuck anybody again?
well, that's-
Because there is
No.
video.
Turds doing it nobody style.
So that's how you turn porn into a weapon. You out of the gene pool. No.
I'm just saying. I'm saying the only reason he was confident enough to use the same move on her was because he already saw.
Oh,
that
and I'm
she
sure he kept
accepted it
using that
from me.
move on others because
Yeah.
he saw that it worked.
It was probably
Well,
his primary
I mean,
move
that's
for a
how
long
people
time
learn,
after that.
bro.
Right.
Well, the problem is he,
Chances
he
are
problem-
you saw that shit in a movie
All right, so
long
let's,
before you ever did.
let's let Turd
But okay,
get
let's
to the,
go
the
on.
next
Go on with
paragraph
your story. We'll
of,
beat you.
of his
we'll,
fucking novel.
We'll bust your balls later.
Okay, so yeah. So the only reason he was confident enough to do it to her was because he already saw how easy she was with it when I did it to her. But then anyway, he like told me, he was like, the other night we were drunk, I was like tickling her. I was like, dude, you only did that. It's like, it's like you did that because you saw me do it.
So-
and you saw that she accepted it.
We're going to have to
And-
return
and-
to the fact that copyright is bullshit.
It's true. There is no
So
intellectual property.
I said the word "the," and you're not allowed to use that word anymore because it's my word.
Now let's move. Do you remember like the original point of your entire
Yeah,
story?
how does?
'Cause
I'm
you've
waiting for this
segued.
to end in tragedy.
Yeah,
Like,
but
where's the
I
drug
keep getting-
addiction in this story?
Let's move past. You failed. Your buddy got the girl with your move. Let's move past that. What happened next?
Well, see, he didn't get. I don't know if he ever did officially get the girl, but
I don't care. Get to the druggle, Dad.
Well, the point is the resentment that I hold. I think is partial is like for my best friend, maybe my this sort of estranged best friend that I have, because he knew that I.
You're still
liked-
upset that he stole your tickle move?
Well, no, it's that
Okay, good.
he
Because that
he
doesn't
kinda,
feel
like,
very mega
tried-
Chad.
It's like it almost feels like he tried to chase the girl that I liked as my best friend, and I think that's at the end of it almost feels like betrayal, and I hold anger to.
Let me give you Shakespeare's answer to that. It's uttered by Ophelia in Hamlet while she's mad, and her words are, "Boys will do it if they come to it. By cock they are to blame." Cock being a synonym for God in those days. But anyway, go ahead.
Right, and I'm just so this happened a really long time ago, and they hung out. I think I think for maybe even a couple of years after that.
Have you ever heard the phrase "all's fair in love and war"?
Ooh.
I've heard it.
Silly phrase.
I would expect. I guess the point is, I would expect my best friend since the first grade to kind of not do that. But,
Do you know
but
anything about love? It is madness.
Yeah.
You go completely insane.
Physiology is your complete enemy, and I gotta say, I've never cheated on a girlfriend. I've never.
Same.
I won't say I've never cheated with a girl where she had a boyfriend and I didn't have a girlfriend. That's definitely happened, but
Sounds polyphilic.
well, it would have been with consent.
Yeah.
But
Multi-amorous even.
but yeah, in some cases, she was lying to him, and I was perfectly happy to go along with that because I never made him any promises. But I also kept in mind that if she'll cheat with you, she'll cheat on you.
There is that.
But the why am I telling that?
I was saying that all's fair in love and war, and
Oh,
love
okay.
causes
Well, I
madness.
guess I was just saying that on the one hand, I wouldn't do that. On the other hand,
Well,
most
so
people will.
I think that this is exactly why Judas exists in the story of Jesus, is because the whole point is for this is to be an everyman's story.
Judas
And
fucking
everyone-
priest.
Yeah, everyone gets betrayed. That is part of life, and it fucking sucks.
Beat raid.
Like, it's part of the torturous part of existence.
Yeah,
is that,
humans are shitty people to each other often, if not more frequently.
But my point, I guess, is nobody can steal your job and nobody can steal your girlfriend, because a job is a relationship with a person. and a girlfriend is a relationship with a person.
Did you hear that?
And people are
Turd?
not property.
Nobody's coming after both your girlfriend and your job. Did you hear that?
I'm taking your job.
I heard it, but it doesn't. I'm not sure if it makes you feel better, but I haven't talked.
I just said I could. I didn't say I was
don't
going.
know if
Turd gerb.
I don't know if my best friend also might feel some level of guilt about this, and maybe that's why he hasn't really attempted to contact me in the past, 5 years or so. Because
Wait, you haven't talked to the guy in 5 years? Not your best friend.
Right.
Right, probably not anymore. And that's another thing that makes me sad, because we were best friends.
Unless he doesn't have another one, in which case you'd be the best by default.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to see someone violate your bro code. Like,
exactly.
that is universally recognized as rude. Like, extremely rude. Obviously,
Right,
friendship endingly rude.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
think,
to me, it depends. Were you with her at the time, or was it a case of I want to be with her and I'm not?
Well, and even then, like, if it was one of my closest friends, I would kind of expect them to be like, "Hey, are you going to be okay if I go out with this person?"
Yeah,
well, if
I don't know. It depends. I would.
Now
do
they don't
that.
have to, but it's a nice courtesy.
I would do that if it was an ex, definitely. Go ahead, Turd.
Yeah.
Well, he never asked me for that permission, and something similar, by the way, had like kind of happened to one of his ex-girlfriends, but I was like, no way. You know what I mean? Like, I would I did not do that.
He chose not to snipe his interest.
Yeah, and that's why I just feel like I felt like betrayed, and I'm not sure if maybe he does, and I don't. When it gets down to it, I don't actually think they ever hooked up or went out or anything, and if they did, it was for a very short while, and I don't even think that they talk anymore now either. But my guess is he might actually carry around some sense of guilt too from this situation. But it's been really hard for me to let this resentment go, and I'm actually really glad that you guys let me tell this story on the air, because I think it will help me heal. And,
Glad you got it off your chest, man.
Yeah, maybe
it
finally let it
probably
go.
will. And the other thing, which is going to sound crazy, especially coming from a guy who is a devout agnostic, is if you pray for that person.
I pray for him. I pray for them all the time.
Yeah, it helps to resolve resentment. And I think the reason is because, there's an old story about a man who climbed the mountain and to talk to the guru. And he said, "Guru, I feel like there are two dogs fighting inside me, and I don't know which one you win." And the guru says, "Well, the one you feed."
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good metaphor. And I totally agree, nobody. And yes, I've tried just about everything, including praying for him, everything that they basically teach in AA to let go of resentments.
Well, I mean, it comes down to accepting reality.
Yeah.
So there's a part of this that comes down to, like, how much are you letting yourself get hung up on this thing?
Exactly.
And when you resist part of what is real is one of the easiest ways to get hung up on something in a very unproductive way.
Yeah,
and that's not to, and that's
you're hitting the
like,
nail
there's
on
a
the
difference
head.
between accepting that it happened and accepting that it's okay. Those are two different things. And
right,
it's
that's true.
The other thing is it's a matter of time, because as you go through the steps, you're going to come to 5, which is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
Sure.
6,
Yeah.
admitted, 4 is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to
5
God, to
is
ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. But then when you get up to 9, it's made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And that, of course, the last caveat is true, but for a relationship that's basically dead, it's almost never going to harm them to go back and say, "Look, I was a dick and I'm sorry." And And that's the thing, is that's all it is. It's just addressing your side of the street, not waiting for them to apologize
So
and
I've actually
walking
had that
away.
happen, and it was
you
really
apologized
nice.
to somebody?
No,
and
I had
it all
someone.
worked
I
out?
had someone who's like, I really didn't think I was being a dick to you, but like I hear this, from mutual friends, and
Right.
like you really did not like the way I treated you in high school, and I didn't realize I was being a dick, but I'm really sorry. And that like we became friends because of
Right. Yes.
and it was it felt great.
Admitting that you're human to another human
Yeah.
is a very sort of bonding moment amongst our species,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
So, and look, I agree with that and all that stuff. I have tried to search myself and to find out exactly what I should apologize to him for, because I do feel like I was the one that got hurt, but at the same time, I do know you're supposed to make amends. Maybe my amends was just being a drug addict, being selfish, that like I was like maybe trying to like put this human being maybe as property. I don't know. Maybe that's the amends I make in that situation. But it's hard for me to.
By the time you're done with 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, you'll know what you're apologizing for.
Well,
so
and-
don't worry about that.
With respect to the dude stealing your tickle maneuver, just download a copy of Beard Talk Live, edit out the section where you talk about that, and then send that to the guy to listen to.
Yeah, that might not be that may not be the worst idea ever. I prefer to kind of sort of put in my own words. I think.
For your own fucking words, dude. What the fuck?
Well.
I won't have
Well, I
past
don't
me
know.
talking
For all we know,
present me.
Cyrano de Vergiat
Although
was
future
standing
me might.
behind him, telling him what to say. We don't know they were his words.
I'd rather put it in my own words, except they were.
Well,
No, dude,
yeah,
that was 5 minutes ago. Turd Ferguson. He was a micro Chad. I have macro chatted.
Well, but my point is, I don't know if this is the best way to explain it to him, the way I've explained it to you guys. And also because I just don't even really know if I'm like what exactly to apologize for yet. But hopefully I will. And
You want him to,
yeah,
it's clear, you want him to apologize for stealing your fucking tickle move. You dwelled on it for like 4 minutes or something, man.
that's not what I wanted him to apologize. At the end of the day, I don't care
The
about
Thomas
the tickle move.
Edison of tickle move.
I don't care about the tickle move.
He wants to earn a fucking royalty every time somebody else uses the tickle move.
Oh, shit.
come
I
on,
owe him
come on,
so
it's
much
ridiculous.
money.
At the end of the day, it's the resentment that I hold for feeling like I was betrayed and for feeling like that's what,
I think that's the
how I
truth.
feel.
I've been-
Girls pee a lot easier when they're tickled than guys do.
It's true. I
Well,
have no
that
idea.
would have been fine with me, I suppose. But yeah, I just
Okay,
I really
that's a
appreciate
little
you guys,
kinky.
letting me. Yeah, right. I appreciate you guys letting
Feel
me
we
call
may
in,
have
though.
entered
And,
TMI territory.
All right, I don't mean to squeeze you off, but here you go, turd. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're pinching off turd.
Somebody sprayed a can of turd, be gone.
That was actually the most relatable I've heard turd.
I don't have the flushing sound queued up, otherwise we'd have taken about with a...
Yeah.
You can't push the big red button behind you and it work.
So that goes out a different thing than goes onto this show.
it's
Yeah, that's
We're
what happens when I
uncensored.
flush, too.
Gazauda.
Yeah, we're uncensored, and so none of our censoring capabilities are activated,
I
so to
see.
speak, on this show.
We couldn't stop cussing
Wonder
if we
Twin
fucking wanted to.
Powers activate. Form of
A censorship button.
a former FBI agent working for Twitter.
Shape of. What's the other half of that? Shape of.
Yeah, shape of a gigantic
media
Karen.
Gigantic Karen. Ooh. I mean, there are already gigantic Karens in this world.
There are
Are we talking about like gigantic in comparison to the largest Karen that exists?
Karens beyond your very comprehension. Karens beyond measure.
Like
beyond
Godzilla-sized Karen stomping over a city?
Well, that
yes.
would clearly be Karenzilla.
I
Right,
mean,
yes.
we've the only footage that I've seen of
Coming
one
soon to
was
your
in
customer
South
service
Park,
department.
when Barbara Streisand, the queen of the Karens, attacked the village.
Well, when she puts her foot down, there goes the company.
And like a 10 miles radius or something. I'm not really sure. I don't know how that works.
I need to step out 1 minute. I'll be back.
How does
Big
one
timing, Kyo.
how does one attain Zilla status?
Zillositude?
Yes, like
I mean, I hear there's a website, Zilla. Oh, that's Zilla.
how do you become Peakless Mountain Zilla?
How do I become Peakless Mountain Zilla? You know, I'd like to see more of you around the office. Fine, I'll gain weight.
I don't know about that, but you'd probably have to get Dr. Shrinker involved with his shrinking ray and to make you miniature, but then something goes awry and instead it makes you into a giant. It has the opposite effect. Somebody reversed the polarity.
It makes me into a giant, hey?
Yeah, and then you become Peakless Mountain Zilla.
Captain, I hate to tell you this.
What?
You're too late.
It's already happened?
I've already become a giant.
Fuck.
I know. Just snuck right up on you.
You don't run around
Turns
saying
out I'm a
things
giant
like,
ninja.
ho, ho, ho.
That's the green guy.
He's a giant, right?
Well, he's a corporate shill.
I've seen Andre the Giant chug a beer in like 2 gulps. Could you do that?
Depends on the size of the beer.
Okay.
Like a full pint? I don't think I could do it in 2.
A beer in his hand looks like a shot glass in my hand.
I know, right?
You know what I mean? You're like, where did you get that tiny beer? And then he hands it to you, and you're like, oh, that's like a pounder.
Yeah. Andre the Giant, best giant ever. Comes with his own golf cart, apparently.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about other giants that I might know of.
Yeah. So, fun fact, the golf cart that he rode around was why Carrie Elwes ended up breaking his foot. So there's this one scene you can't even tell until you know that he is very clearly not using that foot. He's like at the top of the mountain right before he gets pushed over and rolls down. And yeah. And they're like, oh, you look so dashing when you move like that.
Dashing.
Yeah. Man, it was a double-sided sword for inconceivable. Because on the one hand, man, you've got your brand, but on the other hand,
Bride.
you will suffer that word for the rest of your career.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, Danny DeVito was supposed to do that one?
I heard that, yeah, that was written with him in mind.
Yeah.
But, yeah, whatever.
So, I have a gripe about Danny DeVito.
Uh-oh.
So, there's this Jersey Mike's sub sandwich commercial that I've seen an ungodly number of times.
Okay.
And at one point, my ears perked up, and I couldn't figure out why. But fortunately, they keep blasting me with this damn thing to the point where I'm not ever going to go to Jersey Mike's no matter how much I want a Philly steak sandwich.
Well, I mean,
But-
if you're going here in Keene, you're going to go to the other place. Don't go to Jersey Mike's.
Yeah. But I figured out why my ears picked up. They redid the sound of it because he used the word him.
Oh.
That's his sandwich.
And so what did they change it to?
Their sandwich. No assuming the gender of the person next to you.
Soon it'll be like Jersey persons. Because Mike is generally referred to as a male name, right? Generally thought of as a male name.
Yeah, I was seeing an article of, I think it was in Brazil, where the law is literally written to help women get their children. I mean, in our country, we don't have laws that are explicitly sexist. We just have courts that are explicitly sexist.
Indeed we do.
Whereas I think it was Brazil, the law is specifically written that you will be helped more if you're female.
Brazil!
Yeah, that place is going to hell.
I like to shake my fist and say the word Brazil because I worked for a company and people would buy our product online and we would ship it to them from the United States. And Brazil is one of these countries that when your mail shows up, the first thing that happens is people look at it. And I mean like government people post, and then once they have it, they hold it hostage and charge whoever it's supposed to be sent to additional postage. Even though you've paid postage to send it to them, they hold it hostage and then charge them to come and get their own mail.
Brutal.
And it can happen several times on down the line. So if it shows up just as it arrives from the U.S., that's one level. And then it gets put on a big truck that shows up to some other region, maybe a hub, something like that. That's another level. And then the final, mile between the hub and like the actual destination of the person, their actual address, is a third level. So it can happen several times throughout the process. And so we would get these customer service, complaints, or cries for help is more accurate, because they were like, I ordered your product and it's going to cost me 3 times the amount I paid for your product just to receive it because of the and we're like, sorry, bro, that's your country. We paid for it to, we charged you the appropriate amount according to what your government tells us. And, we sent it to you and it was addressed. We can tell where it is too, because they're like, we know where it is, but they want so much to get it, asking us to pay that fee. And there was no way we were going to pay that. I mean, they're basically extorting people for their own parcels.
Yeah, it's a hell of a way to do a tariff, man.
And so every time I hear Brazil, I just think Brazil, because every time the company
where the
would
nuts come from.
Yeah, every time the company would get, one of these calls or complaints or a ticket open or something like that had to do with this subject, like it was a meme around the office that it happened so frequently that everybody's like, Brazil.
Yeah. So have you heard what's going on in Brazil these days?
I heard there's a bunch of nuts.
Ah.
Well, I know
and some waxing going on.
They had a election that was alleged to be rigged by the leftists.
I mean, aren't elections by nature all rigged?
I would say so, but most people don't believe that.
I can't believe that anyone's going to be fighting for that much power and not cheat at all. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think that's a thing.
And I don't remember ever deciding that, hey, I want really big, super important things that, can cause the death of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, to be in the hands of a popularity contest.
Right. Seems like not the way that civilized people would organize themselves.
Like when you frequent a company's product, you probably look into what the company's about. Do they have experience in doing what they're doing? Are they good at what they do? What's their reputation like? All that kind of shit. When it comes to elections, it's just a popularity contest.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's no hey, this guy would be best because of these qualifications. Or, hey, he's done this, that, and the other thing over here, and so we think he'd be good at this, that, and the other thing over here. There's none of that. You don't evaluate that shit like you do even a job. Right? If you've ever interviewed somebody for a job, you've ever been a boss, a manager of any kind, and you've interviewed somebody for a position, none of those things get asked of elected folk.
Well, the only time that I've ever seen it at all in my lifetime was when people voted for Trump and they said, well, he ran a business, so if he could run the country like a business.
There was a time before that I recall where they said the exact same thing, and that's why I'm as sour on Trump as everybody else. Ross Perot. Ross Perot. Well, he was the Texas businessman, right? Mm-hmm. And he ran some successful companies. He was rich.
Yeah. And
so everybody was like, they said the same shit about Perot that they said about Trump. They're like, well, he's a businessman, and so therefore he'll run the country like a business. And no, none of that shit happened for either of them.
Well,
he
never
Trump,
got the opportunity.
Perot didn't get elected, so that's hardly his fault.
But even that being said, as a politician, Perot was not very good.
Well, I mean, he did really well until allegedly there were death threats against his daughter, and he dropped out. And no one believed him when he re-entered the race that there had been death threats against his daughter.
Are you fucking kidding me?
For what I know since then, I have no reason to believe that there were not death threats against his daughter.
I would think that if you're considering becoming a president of particularly the United States of America, you would be aware that that's going to be part of the job.
Right.
That you're going to get some death threats.
Yeah.
I would think that would be you should expect that on the way.
Too, but
you're trying to run the biggest gang on earth.
There are things that could surprise you, like maybe those threats came from the Secret Service. Maybe it came from his own defense detail, in which case, I've got a real problem here that I probably didn't expect, because most people underestimate the level of corruption in the U.S. government.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well,
I would be very surprised. I mean, if you look at the footage of Trump coming to the White House to meet with Obama, the day after the election, he looked like somebody had shot his best friend all through that meeting. Not Obama, Trump, the winner. The guy who this should have been the high point of his life.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is what happened immediately before that meeting.
Maybe he was hungover.
Maybe he was hungover, although my understanding is he doesn't drink.
He never drinks.
But, you know, people lie about that kind of thing.
I honestly believe it. He totally strikes me as a straight edge.
I tend to believe it, too. My guess is that somebody showed him the Zapruder film from some novel angle that hasn't been seen before, where, you know, George Bush's face is clearly visible firing the fatal round or something.
No,
and
it
said,
wasn't
this
George.
is what's going to happen to you and your family if you don't play ball with us.
Sure. Yeah.
And because there's a lot of things he said he would do that he did not do that are the sort of things that I would expect him to do. For example, Napolitano, the judge, friend of the Pauls, anarchist.
Judge Napolitano?
Yeah, Judge Napolitano got a call from Trump just before Trump left office. And Trump said, what should I do before I leave office? And Napolitano said, release the JFK documents. And Trump said, I can't do that. Someday I'll tell you why.
Well, that sounds like another promise from a politician.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I hope he does, because I don't trust Trump.
As soon as I'm sure they're not going to murder me the way that they murdered JFK, I will tell you.
I don't know where we were going, but my point was that I've heard all the things that they said about Trump on the way to him getting elected, because they said all the same things about Perot in his campaign.
Yeah.
Even though Perot didn't win, right, and Trump did, like, all of the things were identical, right, about the whole business aspect and, like, you know, how it'll be better and all that kind of crap.
Yeah, too rich to be bought.
Right.
Trump had this field preceded.
Spent his own money on his fucking campaign and shit.
Did you know he had actually run for president in just New York, but it had been such a small campaign that, like, it just didn't go anywhere?
Who did?
Trump.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, like, he wasn't in any party at the time. Yeah. He just, you know, had the little things, vote Trump. It's like, he's running for president.
I mean, if the population or the popularity contest is just even a valid contest, right, within like a popularity contest's rules, right, the guy who wins actually got more votes than the other guy, right? Even if it's a valid popularity contest, how come no one, like
the famous one,
you know, Jim Bob the plumber from, you know, Keene, New Hampshire, who's had a business for 50 years and has been plenty successful, raised his family, whatever. Like, how come he doesn't win the popularity contest? Right? What's the difference between, because, you know, they like to lie to you and say, you can grow up to become president one day. Anybody can. It's not true.
Yeah.
Totally not true.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if Biden can be president, anybody can be president.
Are you fucking kidding me? That guy...
That guy's got strings longer than, I mean, he's a marionette, dude.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he is a legacy, to use the college word for it. Like, he is a politician, son of a politician in a politician family. Like, he is in that mafia. Like, if you're not in that, if you're not at least in the mafia, if you're not in their club,
his family's definitely
no
in the club. Yeah, the club Carlin talks about, Biden is definitely in it.
Yeah. Now,
well, he is a made man from that point of view. It's just the idea that they would, you know, the best they could do was a senile child molester. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that the reason they picked a senile child molester was two reasons. Number one, so ordinary people, they wanted to say, see, we'll get back to normal. You know how you hate the new normal and you want to get back to normal? Here's the old normal. And their own base, they wanted to say, see, we own you. Well, this is a straight, old, white male who is very rich, and you will vote for him anyway, Democrat.
Right. I was going to point that out, too, because if you think about what happened, if you think that Biden is a marionette, right, what they did is they took the thing that the left most abhorred prior to Trump, which was their whole thing was like, not another old white guy in the office, right? I heard that so much, dude.
Right.
And so then, that was their argument against Trump, right? And then Trump gets elected, and so if Biden is a marionette, they gave the left the worst possible, the worst thing. Like, they didn't give him something that they gave him the thing that they hated the most the last election cycle, which was another old white guy in the office. So even if the election was a valid contest, you don't get the thing you abhorred the most as the next of your sort of party in the office unless there's some shady fucking shit going on and it ain't valid.
Right. It's absolutely right.
Well, they definitely cheated Bernie.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Bernie Sanders.
obviously I don't support
Bernie was in on being
Bernie
cheated.
was cheated.
Yeah, and he was in on being cheated. Like, if he was not agreeing to this entire thing, this would go very differently.
I make this reference not very often, but frequently enough for me to remember it as a reference. But in 2008 or later, but before this last election, Ron Paul and Bernie Sanders on the same ticket.
Right. Right. Oh, man.
You get the left and the right.
And you have consistency.
And they're both old white guys.
Yeah, there's that. But you have consistency.
What everybody seems to love. Well, what you have is yin and yang, really, in that sort of thing. Like Ron Paul is the libertarian, sort of, I don't want to call him God, but like he is the reference that a lot of libertarians go to, and the socialists love Bernie Sanders, right? At least the younger ones did. I heard nothing but Bernie Sanders from like the crews that I hung with, and I was just like, oh my God, you guys are crazy. He's just as statist as every fucking buddy else, and so I like to pose that question. I like to pose that question to people, like, what would you have done if that were the actual bill?
I would have voted for it.
Nobody?
I would have voted for it if Ron Paul was on top of it.
Dude, I'll do you one better.
Paul Sanders, not Sanders Paul?
I would have voted for Bernie Sanders. If they had run him, I would have voted for him. No, it's okay. I get it. You're a socialist, but I know what to expect from you.
He's not just a socialist.
I know exactly what you're going to do.
Socialist.
Yeah, because that's different. As if they
it's
didn't
not fascism.
vote for Stalin.
It's democratic fascism.
Right,
Oh, it's funny. They keep voting for these socialist leaders.
It's not racism. It's democratic racism.
Right? Exactly. Fascism with democratic racism is exactly how you got Hitler. Like, this was a democratic vote. It was socialism. People don't seem to notice that. Hitler is democratic socialism. So is Stalin. So is Mao. It's really easy to have when you only have one party.
I just wish the whole fucking thing would crumble.
Yeah.
It's useless.
Yeah.
Barbaric, antique. I get that, like, having siloed, monolithic sort of structures in society was necessary for society to get to where it is, for technology to evolve, for mankind to evolve from where it was to where it is currently. But technology makes that shit all obsolete now.
It really does. I mean, the whole voting system. Like, if you wanted to, we have the technology now to have a perfect record of every vote. We are absolutely certain of its security, and it will be a permanent record that is absolutely perfect. And we can do this anonymously.
I don't know that it could be done anonymously, or at least not the challenges.
Well,
challenges would have to be de-anonymized because they would have to look at that particular vote and say, I mean, to me, two necessities is each voter should be able to look back and say what vote was cast by me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You don't get a voting receipt when you vote?
It doesn't.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It doesn't show.
When you just get a little sticker.
When you click a thing, you just get the thing that says I'm retarded or whatever, or I voted.
Yeah.
The sticker, but you don't get a printout or anything.
Certainly, those who voted for me were not retarded. I have nothing to say for the rest of them, but
So when you go in, obviously I've never voted because I would know this, but like, so you go in, is it a computer screen now? Like what does it look like when you go to vote?
Base paper.
Yeah, we use paper ballots in New Hampshire that are then fed into a machine.
I've
A
seen
closed-sourced machine.
I've seen a
which
couple
means
of
I
these.
have no idea what happens after that.
I've seen a couple of these online when there's like multiple things to select where people will take like a photo of it on their cell phone and then look what I checked, look at the boxes I checked, that kind of. But can you take a picture of your vote?
You can take a picture of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So you are able to collect a receipt of your vote should you choose to collect one.
Well, yeah, but that would not be the case in a blockchain voting system. I mean,
I've
the
heard that
receipt is on the blockchain. The receipt is the transaction.
Right. Yeah. Now I've heard that if you publish that picture that you take, that counts as voter intimidation.
Actually, they have not been prosecuting people for that, and people in New Hampshire have been doing that.
Nice.
I've seen it on Facebook. Now that doesn't mean they wouldn't prosecute me if I did it.
Right.
All right, we're gonna switch gears. Beard Talk Live. Who the fuck is this?
Hey, it's Major Captain.
Major.
It's Major Captain. I don't think you can be a Major Captain.
I don't. That's a contradiction in rank.
I'm officially demoting myself. How about that? You guys want to argue amongst yourselves?
So now you're minor captain.
I know you can be a lieutenant colonel.
Lieutenant colonel. You can be a lieutenant colonel.
That was my stepfather. He was the only one to break that rank. And he honestly
wasn't the only one. There have been other lieutenant colonels.
In my particular family. He actually got awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. Unfortunately, he got it awarded to him by Obama, so I consider it kind of gratuitous suck, but whatever.
What exactly is a Congressional Medal of Honor? Like, what are the criteria for supposedly earning one of those?
You really got to be upstanding and forthward and had to put yourself at serious risk. My actual great-grandfather was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. He rode with Teddy Roosevelt in the Rough Riders.
Yeah, and from what I understand, those are frequently awarded posthumously.
Oh, yeah, usually they are.
So you don't even get one when you're alive.
Right.
You got to be dead first?
Well, being
what kind
dead,
of bullshit award is that?
Well, being
a
dead
lot of times being dead is a result of what you did to get the medal.
Right. It proves pretty conclusively that what you did was fucking dangerous. Because you're dead.
Both of these men were awarded it after they were still alive. Okay, they were probably close to their deathbeds, but they were both still alive. Anyway, yeah, my real blood great grandfather was the machine gunner when they were trying to take San Juan Hill. Which Teddy Roosevelt. I got the cavalry bobs on my old Four Beaver hat. You'll know me if I ever walk the campsite with that damn thing on.
Did you know that there's a Congressional Medal of Honor for the Space Force?
Wow.
I just looked at the
wiki. Has it ever been awarded?
I don't think so. And it looks like they're rolling it in with the Air Force. So not only are they gypping the Air Force, they're rolling the Space Force in with the Air Force. So that's one medal.
Okay.
Well, they got to have these ready for when the fake aliens come.
There are 3 distinct variants of the medal, one for the Army awarded to soldiers, one for the Naval Service awarded to sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen, and one for the Air and Space Forces awarded to airmen and guardians. Why are people who are in the Space Force called guardians?
Is Space Force part of, probably because of the popularity of Guardians of the Galaxy,
right?
But
God no.
But
yes,
it was
couldn't they have called
movie.
themselves Team America instead?
America, fuck yeah! Here we come to save the motherfucking day, yeah.
I do wonder if somewhere in the bowels of the deep state, in some part of the FBI, CSA, somewhere there is a designated Team America, and they in fact police the fucking world.
Well, they better
Isn't
be,
that what the whole fucking thing is?
Right. So maybe at the very top of the deep state is Team America.
I'd rather see it at the bottom and let them be like me, the unhackable Charlie Brown. Go ahead. try to weasel me out, you ferrets.
Wow.
Hey, that is unfair to ferrets. I never knew a
Well,
ferret that was so despicable that I might think of the government with them.
They are so stinky little critters.
They are
deserve
stinky,
it.
that's true.
Yeah, they're nasty. Musculons has nothing on them. Speaking of which,
All right, wait, hang on, Major. Hang on, because they say that the medal is awarded for valor, and they further go on to say that valor is courage. And they define courage as the choice and willingness to confront agony, pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation. Valor is courage or bravery, especially in battle.
marching into the teeth of death willingly.
Kind of like we do here on our radio show and our podcast.
Yep. Put a big old
I've
target on
mostly
top
marched
of us.
into the teeth of imprisonment, but not death.
Well, I mean,
you've come close.
You get enough imprisonment, it is death. So
this is true.
All it takes
you
is
sound angry.
What?
You sound angry. And I hold in my hand Webster's Dictionary of Quotes. On anger, Mark Twain says, when angry, count to 4. And then swear.
Oh, good, because I'm a musician and I can only count to 4.
And you can
And he
swear
only
to it.
knows 3 chords.
That's
Joe P. Lewis on animals says, I just trust camels or anyone else who can go a week without a drink.
Oh, I'm officially on the wagon, so, I'm going to be going for a really long time without a drink.
Yeah.
I hope you're not hooked to it. That would make you an ass or an ox or some such thing.
Well, yeah. And I
Animals
I
are
do have
equal.
ass and kick ass, so, you do the math.
There's that. Yeah, I'm about
This is
to join you on the wagon too, because I make
This
my yearly pause in my drinking from
Yeah, I have expected
birthday
you to already be on, but no, are we not there yet?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
From my birthday to amateur hour, in this case, St. Patty's Day.
But when is your birthday?
The 11th.
Okay, so we're not there yet.
All right. This one here is from George Orwell. He says, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
Yeah, that's what politicians
That
believe.
was written on the side of the barn in Animal Farm.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Well, it came from George Orwell.
Well, who do you think wrote Animal Farm?
Yeah, he wrote Animal Farm.
All right,
there
well,
used to be
here's
more
this
rules
one.
than that. In fact, that was
Well, there are rules other than that, but that was the
one that stayed.
That was it was the one that was listed last, and it started out as just all animals are created equal, and then they woke up one morning and it had been changed to add that some animals are more equal than others.
Seems to be how our law is written.
Yeah.
That's perplexing. Who was the ghostwriter? So Billy Vaughn and Voltaire are the last two on this here.
All right, go for Billy.
We hope that when the insects take over the world, they will remember with gratitude how we took them along on our picnics.
The insects ruled this world for plenty long enough, in my opinion. And I would really like to see higher forms of life rule for that long.
I don't know about you, but insects certainly rule. I hate mosquitoes. They really do.
got us outnumbered, that's for damn sure.
Oh, yeah. No, even by sheer biomass, and like not even close. The biggest chunk of the Earth's living biomass is ants, by a huge margin. They
got us like 10 million to 1.
Well, and I was going to say, too, like, I look like me, look like a guy who maybe take a punch or get into an accident, walk away. I've done those things in my life. But don't get me around like a wasp, right? Right? Start screaming like a little girl and shit. It's pretty awesome.
Don't like those white Anglo-Saxon Protestants?
No, I mean like, bees that sting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think
when my kid was out west, they pulled over in the big old damn crew cab, right? You got 6-8 guys crammed in this damn thing, and they're all taking a leak on the side of the road. And my boy spots a hard hat down in the ditch, so he goes down, grabs it, chucks it in the truck. Well, they get bouncing down the road, and he picks it up and flips it over, and a vole or a mouse or some shit comes flying out of it, and all these big tough rutnuts just screaming and pull their skirts up and shit. And my kid just stomps the damn thing. He says, "You guys are a bunch of wisses."
Wisses?
All right.
Is that like a wuss but with an I?
Oh, yeah, it's a combination word my father came up.
It's sissy and wussy put together?
And it was wimp and puss put together as a word.
It's a portmanteau. There's our portmanteau for the day. Wissy.
Wissy.
All right, so here's from Voltaire's the last quote on animals. He says, "Animals have the advantage over man." And you got to think, this is way back. They have no theologians to instruct them. Their funerals cost them nothing. And no one ever starts lawsuits over their wills.
Well,
that's pretty damn deep well there.
No, but other people start lawsuits over other people's wills.
But not over the wills of animals.
That's true.
That's corrupt, sir.
That's corrupt, sir. Gosh, if I'm ever in court, that's corrupt, sir.
I tell you what, dude, this book, if you could pick a letter, I'll give you a word that's in it. I've already gone over politicians and some other
politicians
ones.
is easy. Poly meaning many and ticks meaning bloodsuckers. You get politics, many bloodsuckers.
Yep. Oh, I just came upon the laws. I haven't checked that one out yet. I got laziness here.
Are you going through what you got next? Sloth, gluttony?
I got lying. Oh, that sounds like it could be a good one. Here, I got one pork marked off. Oh, this is politics and pleasure and, oh, hell, politics is like.
Are you just saying words now?
I don't understand what's going on here, Major.
He's looking at a dictionary of quotations. And
they're arranged by categories like lying?
Yes.
What book is this?
Probably Bartlett's Quotations or a variant thereof.
Let him answer. What is it? Webster's what?
Webster's Dictionary of Quotations. Timeless quotes to enhance speech and writing. Thousands of quotations over 200 topics.
Is this the little kid from the 80s TV show Webster put this together?
No.
No, it's Webster's Dictionary.
No, it's a far more virulent
Have you ever
force.
read Ambrose Bryce, The Devil's Dictionary?
No.
I have.
That has some great definitions. It has the politics definition.
Nice.
It has anoint, which is defined as the act of lubricating a politician already sufficiently slippery.
All right. I'll
of course, anointing is what they do when they inaugurate a new king. They anoint him with oil.
Anoint, not like ointment. I got you. Okay.
Well, ointment and anoint come from the same rule. They, for some reason,
but it's not an ointment; it's anointment.
Well,
yes,
ointment comes from the same place.
Yes.
All right. I've already read through this whole topic, and I've checked off the best ones for you.
All righty.
The first one is from John Arbuthnot. I cannot even enunciate that last name.
Arbuthnot.
All political parties die at the last swallowing of their own lies, which is pretty damn good.
All what's die at the last swallowing of their own
All
lies?
All political parties die at the last swallowing of their own lies.
Oh, I thought he said all hookers die at the last.
I thought he said all parties.
Yeah, all political parties, yeah.
Oh.
He did, yeah. Okay. What's next?
All right, so the next one is from Ambrose Beniche.
That's Ambrose Bierce wrote The Devil's Dictionary.
Huh.
Okay, all right. It says politics, the conduct of public affairs for private advantage.
That's right.
Now, this one I kind of like.
I like Bastiat also.
Bastiat.
Or Bastier, if you prefer. I don't care.
I love it.
I'll watch the.
No, I would say it Bastiat as well because I'm me.
I'll watch the Colbert Report. I don't mind. But I mean, not now that he's just a political hack, but I would back in the day.
Yeah, he's unwatchable now.
But the
That's a tribute to Major Payne, by the way.
It's true.
But his quote as an economist was, "Government."
Hang on.
Shush for a sec. Government is that great fiction through which everyone attempts to live at the expense of everyone else.
Yep. Major?
Go ahead,
Yeah, I
Major.
heard a guy last night butted me better than anybody. He triple butted his toast.
But
But anyway, this one here is from Leon Dayton, I think. He says, in Mexico, an air conditioner is called a politician because it makes a lot of noise but doesn't work very well. I like that one. I thought that.
nice.
All right,
accurate.
there's a couple quickies. All right, I got 3 in a row that are just one-liners, but they kind of roll together.
Give us one at a time.
First is from Bob Dylan. He says, I think politics is an instrument of the devil. Next one is from Charles de Gaulle. Politics are too serious to be a matter, too serious of a matter to be left to the politicians.
Mm,
Yeah, I've heard
And
I
number
that.
three?
like that.
Yeah, I like that one too. And Charles de Gaulle is the one who signed that damn deal with Germany that got all Europe sucked up into hell.
Fuck that guy,
Anyway.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Lewis McHenry Howe says, you cannot adopt politics as a profession and remain honest.
Bam.
And
Bam.
the last couple are from Ronald Reagan. And the
Oh.
first one, he goes back
I don't
to
know
his
if I want to
Hollywood-
hear Reagan, dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
come
he
on,
said some good shit. He didn't do any good shit, but he said some good shit.
You know what Nancy says? If you can't beat 'em, nuke 'em.
Yeah, well, I will say this for Ronald Reagan. Now, that thoroughly evil man actually did some real good in the world. I mean, the contribution that made to the fall of the Soviet Empire was actually fairly substantial. And he could have blown us all up and didn't.
Well, that's
So
true of
even
all
an evil
presidents.
man can accomplish things that are good for humanity.
Yeah,
Which I think is giving the devil its due.
The last
I
quote.
successfully refrain from blowing up the world
What was-
every day.
What was the last quote, Major? The third one about?
There's 2 of them right quick from Reagan.
No.
first
The last one that you read before these Reagan ones.
Oh, you cannot adopt politics as a profession and remain honest. That's from Lewis McHenry Howe.
Thank you. You may proceed.
I may proceed. All right. So the first one, Ronald Reagan, like I said, I think he's going back to his Hollywood roots on this recollection. He says politics is like show business. You have to have a hell of an opening, coast for a while, and then have a hell of a close.
Okay.
The next one.
Wait,
is
that was
politics-
have a hell of an opening pose for a while?
Pause or coast for a while.
Coast for a while.
coast.
Yeah.
Do some spectacular shit right quick, and then roll the wave like he was a surfer, and then do some spectacular dismount when you hit the coast. I don't
Well,
know
hell,
how the
Biden's coasting on Obama, so sometimes you don't even have to have a hell of an opening.
I mean, I know people who treat their jobs like that. Right? They come in and they're all like fired up, and then after a couple
I
of
brought
days,
bagels!
after a couple of days, they just sort of start to do nothing for a while,
Right.
and then something spectacular happens. It's usually them getting fired, right? But they do make an exit, so to speak.
If you ain't worth a damn, you ain't gonna last a week. I'll tell you that right now.
Anyway, number 2, hurry up.
All right, so this is the last one from old Ronnie Reagan.
Okay, good.
There's one from Margaret Thatcher if you want to hear it, but
I do
don't-
not,
No, I barely want to hear this
I
Reagan
don't-
one.
I don't
Right.
want to read it either.
but I
But
feel like we've
anyway.
already teased it, so...
Yep. Let's hear the last Reagan one.
Last one is politics is supposed to be the second oldest profession. I have come to realize bears a very close resemblance to the first.
That's a fact.
Hey, Major, we're taking a break. Thanks for the call tonight.
Peace, love, and reliable contraceptives.
Ooh, very nice. I want to take us out to break with. So I heard a song from these guys, and I was like, that sounds very sort of, I don't know, anarchistic, libertarian, bent. And I had trouble finding the album that it came off, and I finally re-looked again today after some time. It's been years since I actually looked for this. This band is called Death Cycle. They have an album called Prelude to Tyranny. And just to give you some an idea of some of their song titles, Angels from Hell, Enemy of the State, Is It Too Late, We Will Rise, Blueprint for Enslavement, and An Accomplice to Murder, Pawns of the New American Century. So they've got some just kick-ass, anti sort of titles. So anyway, we're going to take about a 10-minute break. This is Death Cycle.
They're coming!
Angels from hell, bring pain and torment. Angels from hell, bring it torture and death. Angels from hell, bring it pain and torment. Empire will crumble, will dance on the ruin. Money and grow, anxiety. People are starving, confirmed and they think. The better world, peaceful and free. You break off that chain of dependency. Angels from hell, pain and torment. Angels from hell, bring it torture and death. Angels from hell, pain and torment. Angels from hell, bring it torture and death. Angels from hell, pain and torment. Empire will crumble, will dance on the ruin. Angels from hell, bring pain and torment. Angels from hell, bring it torture and death. Angels from hell, bring it pain and torment. Empire will crumble, will dance on the ruin. Coming, marching down the street. Beaming campus set out to imprison you and me. Be ready, get the society. Get on top of your own food to fight the tyranny. Coming, marching down the street. Be the campus set out to imprison you and me. Be ready, get the society. Grab a gun for your own food to fight the tyranny. For me to mistake. I go up on their radar every fucking day. I don't care anymore. I'm not hiding anything to fuckers. 9/11 ain't also mustody. Guilty of murder. We go and movie rigged. Killing elected officials. Rigging elections. Why is that money NSA? Think the murder in my face. It's too late for me to mistake. I go up on their radar every fucking day. I don't care anymore. I'm not hiding anything, you fuckers. 9/11, Oklahoma City, guilty of murder. They go and movie with killed elected officials, rigging elections. I don't care anymore. I'm not hiding anything, fuckers. It's 9/11 and Oklahoma City, guilty of murder. We go and movie with killed elected officials, rigging elections. Me know who I am. Me know who I am. Me know who I am. I know who you are too. Me know who I am. Me know who I am. Me know who I am. I know who you are too. did before. You spill our blood for oil. I'm a bird black one with the spoil. Liberate, I don't care about them, you don't care about me. Truth is so fucking easy to see. Why all that music makes the middle lead? How will you sell? How will you drink? The next invasion never ending great. Another plan soon is coming, but long realizing mirror currency. I won't die for your life that keeps the truth suppressed. Fuck this government. I won't die for your life that keeps the truth suppressed. Fuck this government. How will you sell? How will you drink? The next invasion never ending great. Another fuck flag soon is coming, but long realizing metal currency. I won't die for your life that keeps the truth suppressed. Fuck this government. I won't die for your life that keeps the truth suppressed. Fuck this government. I won't die. We will rise. We'll fight till the death. Fuck this government. I won't die. We will rise. We'll fight till the death. Fuck this government. I won't die. We will rise. We'll fight till the death. Fuck this government. I won't die. We will rise. We'll fight till the death. Fuck this government. Left, right, paradigm that keeps you all in line. You're unaware by design, and you fall for it every time. And under that false pretense, you
Oh my God. Punk rock, man. Hardcore punk rock. I have no idea about these guys' background or anything like that, but this music was grooving my soul.
Yeah.
And that was Death Cycle off of a disc called Prelude to Tyranny.
I got one for the outro.
I already got one of those for today, but we'll put you on deck.
Okay.
I try to be prepared for these kinds of things.
Gotcha.
I have to press some buttons. I think I have to tell people that, we are actually back. And we are.
Yeah.
It is
We're
Beard.
66% back.
Beard Talk Live. Yeah, we're 2/3 of us have returned.
Yeah.
And there's 1/3 en route.
So
we
punk
are
rock.
complete.
En route.
Was probably my best member berry from my high school reunion.
Member berries. Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a term I haven't heard in a while, I think, since the last time you said it.
Yeah. I remember
Someone
that.
doesn't religiously watch South Park.
No, there was something else that was said earlier today, and I'm like, I haven't heard that in a long time. I can't remember what it was. But I think about like vernacular words that we use are transient. Like there's terms nobody else uses, man. Like nobody, you and I use groovy, right? But it's more of in jest at the fact that nobody uses groovy anymore, right?
I just use groovy because I like it.
Yeah, I think it's groovy.
And
If
it's
nobody
also
is
the
using
most
it in
discreet
jest.
way in the world to say like pussy.
Yeah, but I never forget
Because
that one.
that's the groove.
Ah. Why, thank you for your hippie lore.
No problem.
What do you? He's the hippie historian.
Well, someone's got to be.
I mean, kind of, although really I'm not the guy for the job because I don't. I mean, I know some of the like 60s lore, but I wasn't there. Of course, then again, if you remember the 60s, you probably weren't there.
So I'll tell you what
I do not,
didn't
and
know.
I was not.
So what I didn't hear about from any source about the 60s was what the Jesus freaks were. So like
Jesus
by the time
freaks were Christian hippies.
Yeah, that like the only way that I knew about that was from finding about from my dad having been that.
Yeah.
And like I never even knew these things existed.
And it wasn't just Jesus. It wasn't that Jesus was not singled out. You could be an acid freak. You could be a Jesus freak. You could be a Marx freak.
By the time
you
it came into my language, like in the 90s, it was a Jesus freak was someone who was a hardcore zealot Christian.
Yes, but also a hippie.
No, you can't do both of those.
You can. I've seen it done.
My favorite
Authoritarian and hip do not go together. They are oil and water.
Okay. I didn't catch the word authoritarian in what you said. And these people were not authoritarian.
Camacho?
But Jesus wasn't particularly authoritarian either. Jesus was more hippie than, most of the hippies were. So, it's... and I say that not even being a Christian. It's just my observation. If you look, the thing is, if you look at the words of Jesus, they're not bad. I mean, they may well contain false statements, but
I haven't found one too yet.
Well,
I've had
basically
some
those are things that are unverifiable. Like the only way to the Father is through me. That's a pretty hefty claim.
Okay, well, the whole point of Jesus is that this is the example. So you've got God, that's the standard, right? So the non-aggression principle is the standard of being a voluntarist. The standard of that, worldview is God. Now the expression of the standard is Jesus. That's how the whole story is structured. So the only way to get to the standard is to go, I mean, of course you can't be someone else. That's insane. You have to be you, but being you, doing what it is like to be like the standard that you're trying to see in the world.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate standard because it's not necessarily reachable.
Let's go to somebody non-standard. Let's go to Rob in Vermont. Rob. Oh.
Hey.
Oh my God! I didn't say it right. Beard Talk Live. Who the fuck is this?
There we go.
All right. Hey, you guys ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Right?
We are for doing a show like this.
Which bit are you referring to?
You think this is new?
I think Rob's going to tell us why.
Yeah, that's right. Because you didn't say the George Carlin preamble.
Yeah, we did.
We did. You should be ashamed of yourself. You missed it.
I think we may have lost a caller doing the preamble.
I think we did, actually. Yeah, it's true.
But I don't think that's the first time we've done it either.
Well,
I didn't hear it.
We're a great college show. We're professionals.
Hey, but I got to tell you, the music you've been playing, Captain, has been phenomenal. Hey, I got
I apologize to like your living room and your curtains, and if you tossed a coffee table over or anything like that. My apologies to your furniture.
No, hey, dude, I fucking love it.
Hard not to throw even a one-person mosh circle if you really get into that punk rock.
Well, I got enough room so I don't fucking crash into anything.
All right.
Nice.
But
it's the way to do it.
I like the way
it kind of defeats the purpose of slam dancing.
I like the way that which way the music is going.
Slam dancing without slam is just dancing.
I mean, because
Chuck Norris can slam dancing
what
without.
I want to say is important because.
Hang on, Rob thinks what he has to say is important. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, it is important. I just like to interrupt him sometimes. But go ahead, bro.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always liked rock and roll, and it's in my blood. I can't play it, but it's in my blood. I can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
So put another dime in the jukebox, baby.
But it changed for me. Rock and roll changed for me in terms of the way I listened to it. Right after, the assassination of John Dimebag Darrell, it changed.
Who?
It was like
Dimebag Darrell's the guitar player for Pantera.
Yeah, it was like my party stopped. I was, was horrible.
Yeah.
But this new music that's been coming
Bad news
along,
on the doorstep. You couldn't take one more step.
It was Dimebag Darrell's probably like the John Lennon of heavy metal, right? Their stories are kind of similar. They both got taken out. Their deaths were, they affected the whole community, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, it's
they
funny.
both
I
happened
always
on the
wonder
same
if that's
fucking
the
day.
CIA.
What's that, Ron?
Both these killings happened on the same day.
Dimebag was killed on the same day as John Lennon?
John Lennon, if I'm not mistaken, the same way. He was fucking gunned down.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's kind of crazy.
John Lennon was killed during the Super Bowl game when Howard Cosell was on. That was in 1980. And then Dimebag was killed in Columbus, Ohio on the same day during around the same time.
Fact check.
That's what I understand.
Fact check. John Lennon and Dimebag Darrell together in death. On this day in 1980, Mark David Chapman shot and killed former Beatle John Lennon. On the same day in 2004, Nathan Gale shot and killed Darrell Abbott, a.k.a. Dimebag Darrell of Pantera.
Okay, so this was not the same day. This was the anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
On this day in 1980, blah, 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 killed Lennon. On the same day in 04, blah, 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 killed Dimebag.
Right, but really it wasn't on the same day. It was on the anniversary.
Right, because they can't be the same day.
If it was the same day,
a lifetime later,
then my first question would be, oh my God, why doesn't anybody know
same
that?
Date.
Right, the same date, definitely.
Yeah,
right.
Same day of the year, but not the same day.
That's kind of like, the 27th Club.
Yeah. Oh, I know all about the 27 Club, and that.
How old was Dimebag?
Speaking of shit that I seriously wonder if this is the CIA. So, why is it that crazy 27-year-old artists just over and over and over again, just incredibly rich, famous, at their prime, they hit 27 and just dead.
Well, I mean, I personally think there's something behind it, although it's very weird that it's always 27 because you'd think that decision would be made on an individual basis. And so,
Rob, tell your dog to pipe down.
Why would you always do it to 27-year-olds when that sends it basically it makes it look more plausible and less plausible at the same time to me. And it makes it look less plausible for the same reason that, you know, people talk about about people doing things out of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, and which was an anti-Semitic text that accused a whole bunch of conspiracies. Well, the one group of people that would absolutely never do anything out of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion are Jews, because when anything that looks like that happens, that's who they're going to look at. So
yeah, that's what they're going to appear to be. If you've been, it's the same thing as like Trump gets accused of being a Russian agent. Well, now I can't look like I'm a Russian agent. So in the same way, the Jewish people are very heavily motivated not to look like the Elders of Zion people, lest you fucking genocide them.
Yeah, so it's so basically, but anybody who either doesn't like Jews or just wants a patsy does have a reason to use strategies out of that book.
I don't really care about any of that. There's one reason that I wish for the Jewish people to remain a people and not, you know, be wiped off the face of the planet. And that's because I've had Jewish brisket. It's fucking delicious. Fucking that shit does not need to go away anytime soon. That shit's delicious, man.
Yeah, I guess my reason is more basic than that. They're human.
Well,
you know,
I think those are two sides of the same coin. I mean, to cook a good meal is to know what nourishes another.
Don't worry,
Don't
I feel
tell
the same.
Bender that.
I feel the same way about most cultures of the foods that I've had. There's a whole bunch that I haven't. You know what I mean? But like, you know, I like the Italians too, right? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been sort of a universal social lubricant that even if we absolutely fucking hate each other, it's like, well, you actually make some pretty decent falafel, I gotta tell you.
Yeah. Well, of course.
I will run you into the ocean, but you know, your falafel's actually not that bad. Maybe, could I get another helping?
My grandmother swore up and down vehemently that madzun, otherwise known as yogurt, was an Armenian invention that the Turks stole. And this was just very important to her. And
everybody's got to clean out of something, you know?
Yeah.
Yogurt is our organism.
Yeah, so cultural appropriation is not
culture appropriation,
a new concept.
Oh my God, that is that is the pinnacle of culture appropriation.
Yogurt is a culture.
Yeah.
Hey, so
oh right, Rob's still here.
Hey, Rob, what's up?
All right, so let's change the subject a little bit here. I want to talk about, you know, the head of the square in Keene a little bit. You see how they want to change the configuration on that, and how it's drawn in a lot of people that don't want that configuration at all. They want it left alone.
Rob, I have one question. Is the new configuration in the shape of a circle?
No.
Oh.
No.
What's going on there? Did you just fart, dude?
No. Somebody just texted me.
Oh, tell them not to do that while you're on our show, man. That's rude.
Somebody's probably listening. That's all. That knows me. That, you know.
Look, we may not be succeeding, but we're trying to sound professional here.
You're doing great.
Yeah, and you don't have to have professional callers to be professionally. You just have to deal professionally with callers, whether they're professional or not, because callers are by definition not professional.
All right. I guess, Rob, what were you trying to say?
No, I was saying that the way that they're presenting it of what they would like to do is like sort of like make it this like a half an egg with a street going through it. So in other words, the common would have it would be like two islands.
Okay.
You lost me.
You know, and
you know the Keene Circle. in Keene, New Hampshire.
Well, I mean,
there's a town square called the Keene
otherwise
Town Square.
known as Malfunction Junction.
It's in the shape of a circle. So I'm just recapping here, Rob, for people who don't know.
It's in the shape of a circle with a tangent line.
You would come down Washington Street.
3.
Okay. Come in, and then you would turn and go right up Court Street, as opposed to coming around and then going around the corner, go down Main Street.
Is it? Where can people see this? Is it ugly?
So instead of having a square that is a circle, you're going to have a square that is 2 circles.
It's 2 half eggs in a square. That doesn't make any sense at all. Of course, government.
Yep.
All right. What else, Rob? What else you got?
The clown world.
I don't know. I guess it's not going to affect my life because I'm not going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm not part of their society. I don't gather at their square.
Like I was all like willing to like give the city of Keene a chance as far as like from a perspective of like let's just be open to a smaller plate, right? And the first thing that I see is that the town square is a circle.
Yeah.
And like I mean, if that just doesn't illustrate to you the idiocy of government, I don't know what will.
Give the people that work for the city of Keene or work for the state of New Hampshire a try, as long as they do away with qualified immunity.
I'm past that. They're going to do whatever they're going to do.
Do away with qualified immunity.
Mm-hmm. That would be a huge step in the right direction.
It would, because good people don't need qualified immunity, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, if they just don't break the law, they don't have anything to worry about, do they?
How about you just stop harming people?
Yeah, how about that?
Exactly.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, people stop living in fear, start living by principle.
Immunity is basically a way of holding people accountable when they do. So that's, I don't think that's a bad thing. I also don't think it's going to happen.
You don't think they're going to do away with qualified immunity?
I don't think they ever will because the thing is, they're the ones who benefit from it.
Think real hard about when was the last time the government actually gave powers back to the people?
Never. They can't. It's not possible for them to do so.
No. Every now and again, while they're scraping as much power as they can, they go, "Oh, that touched a nerve."
It's just because of their incentive structure.
A little bit less than we were stealing. See, progress, right, guys? Your votes matter. Keep voting.
It's because of their
But all in all, they never give anything back.
Yeah, well, their incentive structure. Yeah, their incentive structure doesn't allow them to do things that are actually helpful.
Right.
They allow them to create a new thing, tell people they got to pay for it, take a hefty chunk off the top of it for themselves, and then give a bunch of it to their friends.
Well, and this is precisely why I am certain that the good currency coming into existence is going to destroy government, because government has locked itself in a cycle where it can scarcely spend the same amount, let alone spend less. And spending less is literally the only way that you can come into alignment with good money. And government can no longer come into alignment with good money. So it's going to destroy itself.
Well, and thankfully, we know what good money is now. We've seen it. It exists for the first time in our lives.
Good money is not the fucking American currency. All that is.
No,
not at all. Good money we know is gold, silver, and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yep, gold, silver, and then also.
And I'm waiting for Schiff coin.
Peter Schiff gonna put out a coin?
Yeah, I want Schiff coin, but Schiff coin would basically be a gold denominated, gold backed.
You know what? I am going to bet that there's going to be a Schiff coin, although I suspect that it might be his son that does it.
Did you say
I'm tempted to create it?
Is not anywhere near fooled by the it can only be gold. He's like, right, here are the things that make gold work, and it has those.
Shit coin.
SCHIFF coin.
Okay. I was thinking that you said
Shitcoin actually exists. Their brand is just this little smiley face turd. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
They have the Satoshi Kakamoto, I believe is who authored the wipe paper for Shitcoin.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all just it's shit jokes about cryptocurrency, and it's a coin called SHT. Right? It's pretty great.
You know what? I'm willing to bet that has value.
Mm-hmm.
Does it trade for zero yet?
I don't know, but I just searched Schiff coins and nothing really came up.
All right, give it time. His son is into crypto.
Oh, what?
Well, that would be the perfect person to get. Is it Peter Schiff Jr.?
I think so.
Oh, good, because then you can say authorized by Peter Schiff.
Oh my
God. We got to find out how to contact this guy.
Yeah. I am going to have to double check my information on that one. But yeah, it's so the way I see it going down is that you have this central currency that is, of course, decentralized.
Ooh,
centrally.
Gross.
Well, no,
central
so like,
currency.
so you've got Bitcoin, which is this like slow-moving thing that everyone's basically sure of. But in order for that to exist, you have this spare amount of hash power for however much faith we have that you'll be able to spend, say, BCH, for example, which has a really good foothold in St. Kitts and Nevis. And its spendability makes it a real contender because it shares all the really important traits with BTC.
Yep.
So
what do you think? You think Bitcoin Cash is going to do good this year?
This year?
Yeah.
Honestly, nothing is going to do this, good this year. They're going to take forever to turn the money printers back to neutral and then back on. And until they turn the money printers back on, there's not going to be much.
Well,
it's going to chop sideways.
2024, so like a year, right? Isn't that the halvening?
Yeah, the halvening in 2024.
I like to pronounce the L in it, though, because I'm me.
You know what else is getting to be pretty popular is NFTs.
Yeah,
they're overall down. I mean,
that technology is not anywhere near where it's useful.
I was thinking that it could be useful in titling property.
Yeah,
that's something it would be very useful for.
And then we were talking last week about. Hang on, Rob. We were talking last week about the usage of attaching a authenticity document to like one Satoshi.
Mm-hmm.
And then and it has a smart contract written into it that says whenever this Satoshi changes from one wallet to the other, the owner of this document is whoever has the wallet, whoever owns the Satoshi. And that's how you exchange property without government.
Yeah, and one of the things that you can do, let's say you and I have a written contract. Now, I can make a hash of that, which just it makes a signature where it is absolutely impossible for you to fake this. Like, if you have this hash, you have the thing that hash was made from. Like, the probability of doing otherwise is one atom in the known universe. It's impossible.
Another way of putting it is if you can show a document that has a particular hash code, then ipso facto you prove that document exists.
Exactly.
But it's very difficult for anybody else to come up with a different document that gives the same hash code.
Mm-hmm. And one fun part about this is you get the ability to sign documents. So you can okay, well, this person who contracts with me knows that I use this little extra thing at the end of my signature every time. And so we can check that on, does yours have that too? Because if it doesn't have that, then it won't equal out. So it's very much like the king's signet.
Do you think humanity,
make a new one?
Do you think humanity, though, is they're not very good at end user license agreements, right? All of us, it pops up, yes, we click yes, next, install, right? That kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Humans aren't very engaged in, reading contracts and adhering to them, even understanding them for that matter, because some of these things, have you read a EULA? They're the most insane thing to read. You're like, oh great, I got to spend 8 hours reading this licensing agreement before I can install this software. So
you just don't.
Right. And that's the scary part about where technology is, because
but here's the thing. How much of that actually gets done? So it literally cuts both ways, because how many times do they specifically have that in the contract and the court goes, nope, we've decided that it's going to go this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happens all the time.
Even in just a written individual agreement, I agree to sell you my car, whatever, the court will be like, no.
Yeah.
No, you didn't sell it. Or, yep, you sure did.
So, I wanted to get Peakless. Are you on Twitter at all?
I exist there. I even sometimes check it.
Okay, because I want
I still think it's the worst part of the internet.
Do you really exist there?
I would like to introduce you.
There's a part of my pattern there. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I like it. Have you been on it since Elon?
Huh?
A little bit.
I was asking Peakless if he had been on Twitter since Elon.
I don't go on often enough to notice differences.
Mm.
Well, I was talking about NFTs earlier.
Oh, Rob's close all of a sudden. Sweet.
There's this guy I want to introduce you to that has a company. It's called Smart Finance. And
I don't know, man. I'm leery of anybody that puts the word "smart" in front of their product or service.
That's true. You've got my expectations pretty high for that.
That'd be like me calling myself Smart Captain.
It'd be like you're calling yourself Captain Kickass, bro.
Captain Smartass.
You literally start it, at least sometimes, with Reverend. You are proclaiming that you are revered. Now I, also a reverend, I'm a pope, so I can't really blame you there.
Can you revere yourself?
Yeah.
Why don't you go revere yourself, pal, all right?
Well, you should go and love yourself.
Something we should ask ourselves about the church is, are all the members popes? Like,
well, if they want to be.
Like,
but I'm not going to force popehood on you.
Yeah. Well, that
maybe some of them are momes.
Have you read any?
Maybe we would have to have a 50% mome population
for the Ramones.
Yeah, well, no, a mome population. Because if you've got a pope, that's from Papa. So I think a mome would be Mama.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think we should definitely have momes.
What if you had a mome
I don't
in
think
Rome?
it would be improper to refer to a female pope as simply a pope or a popette.
I feel like if I was a woman and you called me a popette, I'd be pissed.
I just got like a picture of like the Roxettes, but like
yes, exactly.
But they got the big hats on.
Yeah,
Pope-ass.
A popus.
Pope-ass.
Yeah.
Pope-ass.
In some regions, pronounced porpoise.
It's getting pretty close to Ron Popeil, the inventor of all things Ronco. You remember Ronco? They were like that brand that made all the gadgets, the original as seen on TV stuff, man.
Yeah.
Rob remembers Ronco.
I never bought any of it, but I remember their commercials.
I do. I'm giving away my age.
Well, you should sell your age instead of giving it away if it has value.
Well, I wish it did have some value. Maybe someday it might. Who knows?
Well, it's got some plus, it's got some minus.
Yeah.
I mean, you get wisdom, but none of the energy to use it, so.
Well, I get all of my wisdom from you guys. And Free Talk Live.
Oh, dear God, help you.
Oh, fuck. We're sorry. Find some other wise guys as well. And you need exposure to more wisdom.
And I do believe that we published a reading list. So go consult one of the what's the word? Prophets? The
estimated prophets.
Estimated. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Read an estimated prophet. They seem to know what they're talking about.
It's true.
You need more than us.
I'm going to send you a link to this company, Peakless, and I want you just to take a look at it. Trust me.
All right.
That sounds like he's like asking you to like visit Amway or something.
I'll take a look at it.
Oh, man.
Sounds like he's trying to get you to sign up.
I turned down Kirby vacuums, so I'm an old hand at going, oh, I see.
I'm thinking that once you take a look at it, you're going to have some questions, obviously, and I can hook you up with this dude. He can answer all the questions.
Oh, I'll bet he can.
Oh, man.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds scammy to me.
Now, is he going to require that I give him my credit card first just so that I can confirm my age?
I have to tell you guys that and I think you all as well, are all very capable of answering all of the questions. But do we give the correct answer to all of the questions? That's a whole different ball of wax.
Well,
And something that only time will tell. It's
Well-
easy to predict the past.
you can solve one problem, but others crop up. So enough fire could solve any problem, but it will cause you others.
Hey, Rob, do you have a phone number for this other guy that can answer all the questions?
I do.
Can you get him on three-way call? Put him on the show?
You mean have him, I could probably have him call into the show.
No, don't do
I've
that.
talked with, hey, believe me, I've talked with him about it. He's open to the idea.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is you're peddling.
His name is XRP Junkie.
That sounds promising.
So
I'm telling
XRP
you,
was
you
designed
guys-
from its inception to be government coin.
I'm
And they
telling
are
you
currently
guys,
running the a good chunk of the retail side of their central bank digital currency explorations are being run on XRP, even while they're suing them in court.
Wow. Because
Yeah.
I was going to say, that doesn't make sense because they're
Cold-blooded.
suing them for existing.
That's it. I'm
Yep.
sorry. That was an excellent summary. Like, I'm like, yep, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't have said it better.
Cold-blooded. Yeah, you're still crypto, so we have to destroy you, and we're going to drown you in the bathtub while you're small, because we got a lot of crypto to destroy. But we're going to rip everything off of you that we can.
Can you imagine if governments just sort of left crypto alone and banks just sort of left it alone and even like, decidedly integrated with it with floodgates wide open? Like if the world was just like everybody freely exchange as they desire. Use
Sci-fi
any of these
report.
cryptocurrencies
Right.
that you would like. Right? And you could go
Nobody
to a
would
bank.
hold government currency.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an
I'll try to,
illustration, right?
Get the guy to come on to Beer Talk Live next week.
I mean, don't go out of your way or anything.
Well, I will, no, because he's like-minded people. These are good folks, such as yourself.
Yeah, I'll
I love
look
the word
into 'em.
folks. It's a good word. I use folks as well.
Hey, I'll
Yeah.
tell you what.
I'm
I'll tell you what,
skeptical
this
of
is
it.
a true story. This ain't no lie. I didn't know who Peakless was. He came all the way from Colorado. I had no idea who he was.
It's true.
And he came here, and he was awesome, man. He was awesome.
Yeah, that was my landing. He was purchasing some crypto, and yeah, okay. Well, you believe in freedom. You believe in the non-aggression principle. You love what I love. I mean, that's really what you've got to know
Yeah.
about someone is like, what's
You know,
your value system like? Like,
and
do you
one
believe in
thing-
peace? Do you love people being voluntary in all of our interactions?
He left an inspiration here at this house. And the inspiration was he left a poster of Edward Snowden in my closet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I still have that. It's still right there.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the absolute proofs of exactly where we are. So you've got Snowden and Assange.
Oh, we've been triangulated by
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they know.
They know where
where
we
we
are.
are. Yeah.
Well,
Actually, we did learn from the Crypto 6 trial that the feds are definitely listening, sometimes even daily.
but no, I mean,
If
where
not
we are,
daily, all the time. Like, there are actual, we have confirmation from the feds themselves that they listen to Free Talk Live, the radio show.
But no, I mean,
Chances
where we are
are
as a
what they
culture.
do is run a. This is how the Raptor system works. I think it's Raptor. Basically, they would run something like Alexa on the audio stream. And it would be set, instead of having one code phrase, there would be a whole bunch of words and phrases that would trigger this computer program to then send a message to a human saying, hey, you should check this out.
Right.
And
It's like having a Google alert set up for a certain keyword or something.
Right. And then their cost is paying the humans who actually, or, as close as they can come to humans, who actually have to go and listen to it and figure out why it's important or if it's important and whether it deserves action.
That's where the
and
limitation
for
in
every case, I would imagine for every case or every major case that the Department of Justice is handling, they're looking for probably a whole set of keywords that this might relate to our case if somebody starts talking about this address or this phone number
or
this
name or
this series of words.
And that's what feeds into their incredible desire to get as much AI as they possibly can. Because they want to get as much of this information sorted before it gets handed to them, because they know that that's why they want to kill us, is there's too many of us to keep track of.
Use it that way. It's probably not a matter of sorting it and handing it to them. It's a matter of pre-processing it with cherry-picking algorithms to find the most important things. And then the other side of it is accumulating in a database an indexable collection of all of these conversations, because it doesn't just work in real time. It also lets them travel back in time and find out what you said to Joe Blow 10 years before they had any interest in you. And that's why they want to collect everything. And it's especially why they want the meta information of who called who. Now, obviously, they want the full text.
This was basically outlined in Minority Report.
Right, yeah. I was thinking, as he was doing his diatribe and describing the situation, in my head, I had, the screen and, the pre-crime, and the dudes all standing around, watching the screen, right before he was thinking about maybe committing a crime.
Right, but this is not, it's not the same as that, because basically what they're doing is just hindsight. It's just, okay, we have a record of these phone calls that were made 10 years ago, and all of a sudden we're searching for this phrase and this phone number, which automatically puts the conversation on the list. And, oh, gee, he was talking about this 10 years ago.
And they can change the dial on any of the words, any of the keywords they want at any time, and resort the results and all that kind of thing.
And I think the fact that you find this in our fiction is what lets us accept it when it comes to pass.
Well, I mean, it certainly doesn't encourage me to accept it. It encourages me to fear it. It encourages me to actively fight it.
Yeah, there shouldn't be an organization that wants to track everything that every human does. That just should not exist. There should not be an organization that wants to track what every human does. There's no human that should want that.
Well, so a corporation will always want that. And this is one of the things, the world that we're entering into, a big part of the economy will be attention. It will, that's the fundamental, that is what backs currencies. Is attention.
But that's been the case for a long time, partially just because of the laws of nature, because in order to propagandize somebody, the first thing you have to do is get their attention.
That's fact.
Same thing to advertise to them, which is more or less the same thing. And so that's in that case, your statement is a fact of nature. But the other thing is, you look at the whole advertising business of the world.
Right.
Look look how far back that goes. It goes back to 1700s, 1600s, 1200s.
Yeah, when they called Madison Avenue wizards, they were actually quite literally true, because that's where this information has been stored from the ancient past, is that oh, well, these wizards used these candles. Well, here's what that means, is if you throw that in your logo, it'll have this effect on people.
Yeah. And all the various forms of manipulation. There was a guy who was very famous for that, for turning that into a science of manipulation during the 40s or the 50s. I can't remember the guy's name for the life of me, but but he was the guy supposedly who turned. No, it wasn't the 40s because it was before World War II. Because some of those techniques were used by the fascists, I think.
Oh yeah, the propaganda wars were a huge part of the world wars.
Yeah.
Somebody sprayed a can of Rob Begun.
Well, that happens.
Thanks for the call,
Peace,
dude.
Rob. Thanks for calling.
So,
I mean, the longer a caller
Dr. Seuss
stays, the more comfortable I feel, you know.
So Dr.
Letting them
Seuss
slide
and Stan Lee and all of these huge names in our culture, the guys behind the Bugs Bunny cartoons, like all of these guys were part of the military propaganda machine.
Yeah.
So like our comic book world is largely the product of the American military.
And that's why we have Captain America. I mean, come on.
That's a captain I don't really like.
Huh?
I don't really like Captain America anymore.
I love Captain
No,
America.
because-
They've done really well with him because he has had to
I thought
defy
it was a girl now.
Oh.
Isn't Captain America transgender?
Have they screwed it up again?
No. He's thinking of a different character. Captain America, though.
Which one turned
is
into a
really-
girl? One of the captains turned into a girl.
Well, Thor turned into a girl.
Permanently?
Apparently.
So it's Thorette now?
Nope, it's Thor.
Still just Thor. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Wow.
I had a point and I lost it.
You know what's funny about that one? There is actually an important myth where Thor dresses up as a woman.
Huh.
Yeah, he has to pass as a bride. And he is pissed about it. Which is why the person keeps asking, like, why is my bride blushing so red that it looks like they're very, very angry? It's like, oh, well, they're just excited. Well, those are some bloodshot eyes. Oh, well, she was up all night with excitement to marry you.
But Grandma, your teeth are so big.
Oh, boy.
So
that's what he said.
I can't say I'm that pissed about seeing Thor female because that was a hilarious myth. So I get it.
What were we talking about before that?
Oh, the fact that so the comic book world has been a weapon, just like the internet has been a weapon.
Yeah, like I remember reading G.I. Joe comics. Like that was one of the more frequent. I was able to get more issues of that than probably Batman, right? And I was really I dug Batman a bunch, but reading comics, I didn't read I read a whole bunch of them, but I didn't stick with any one for an extended period of time, right? With the exception of maybe Batman and G.I. Joe, probably the longest. I think I read G.I. Joe comics for 4 years, right? And holy fuck, do I look back on that now and go, propaganda. I was self-propagandizing and enjoying it. They made it fun and entertaining.
Well, and wouldn't you know it, it's an international terrorist group with a capstoneless pyramid as a base.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you think about how many people who regard themselves as counterculture because they're comic book people without realizing that that's not counterculture, that's deep state.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that pretty much anything that gets big enough to be promoted on TV will be deep state.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, the coins that I least trust are the coins that the news most talks about.
Yeah, and I mean
Ethereum and BTC.
Fair enough. There's a
just
reason
because their fees are too fucking high.
Okay,
and Ethereum won't do anything that any other.
So Ethereum's the worst.
Won't do.
It's the absolute fucking worst. It's literally worse than XRP. They're making the CBDC on XRP, and it's not as bad of a coin as Ethereum is.
Okay, now what bothers you about Ethereum?
Oh, well, so a proof of stake system, if you actually get down to it, it is a hidden proof of work system, but it's the nature of its structure means that by having more, you can stake more. By staking more, you have more. So whoever has a lot gets all of it.
Well,
it's built in that way.
That's not really the case because first off, there's a law of diminishing returns there. Because what you're talking about is injecting liquidity. Okay? When you stake something, you're injecting liquidity. You're committing that I will not cause a run on the bank by withdrawing these funds prior to expectation in order to keep.
And then they will give you some, and then you can stake more because they gave you some. So
yes,
by its nature,
but you're enduring a cost by doing that because you have to get it. You have to actually do something with it. The idea that we're going to have forever deflationary currencies, that's not going to happen. There's no
Disagree.
such thing.
Disagree.
Well, here's why you
That's
won't
exactly
have.
how technology works.
Here's how you won't have. Why you won't have that, because they're going to keep coming out with new technologies, and every few years there's going to be a new big thing, and everybody's going to go to the new big thing, just like we've seen in social media. It's there's nothing can stop the march of progress. And later software will always be better than earlier software. So the idea that and technology has no sentiment. Technology has no problem discarding the old and attaching to the new. So
that's an excellent point, though, because that's exactly why governments fear it, particularly cryptocurrencies.
Particularly
yes,
cryptocurrencies that function according to the Bitcoin protocol.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said, and I'm sure you missed what I said. So.
I said especially the cryptocurrencies that conform to the Bitcoin protocol.
What did you say?
Okay, and I would say, and to somewhat, this
but what did you say?
This is the same point. Basically, that the longer a system was in heavy use, the more barnacled it will become with manipulative ways. But every time you change systems, every time you change currencies, you have to change grifts. Okay, or potentially you have to change grifts. Obviously, there are some grifts that will work almost unchanged across multiple frameworks.
Well, and the thing about this technology is it is an anti-fragile system. Like, weirdly enough, the worst thing that could have happened to Bitcoin kind of happened for a little bit, and it was shaky because we weren't being attacked. Like, they just ignored us for the longest time, and we weren't being attacked, and you don't get any stronger that way if you have an anti-fragile system. So that actually makes you less strong when they're ignoring.
I mean, I don't know. Bitcoin's been being attacked since its inception by, just about everybody.
Well, it has in
Their biggest attack is ignoring it, and they wish they could completely.
Well, the thing about cryptocurrency, in my estimation, is that they're probably correct on that strategy, and that is to say, if government comes down too hard, too quickly on cryptocurrency just eats government faster.
Right.
And so they go, oh, well, we better do this in a, I don't know, a multi-generational, whatever it is they're thinking, right? We're going to play the long game on this fucker because I think that they know that they're out of time.
And that's why this inflation is so terrifying. I have never seen the Federal Reserve slam on the brakes like this. 0.75, 0.75, 0.75, repeatedly. Half a point is considered a big move most of the time. You might see a 1 point move, but then you won't see a move for several meetings most of the time.
So M2 is reducing. So there's different ways of gauging a currency, like the closest to cash, and as you get sort of more abstracted from cash, and the abstracted currency, because there's government bonds that spend just as well as money in that world, and all of that. It's reducing. It's actually coming down. It's as if you were taxing it, because that's the usual way of taking money out of existing.
But yeah, and the thing is, it's just interest rates. If you expect to return 5% return on your capital in your business venture, and the interest rate is 3%, borrow the money.
Right.
But if your expected rate of return is 5%, and the cost of your capital is 6%,
you're losing.
Then there's no way.
Right.
Yeah, you don't. And that's for the same reason as Ethereum staking, to keep liquidity in the system.
So here's
or
the
it
thing.
has the same effect. There's not a reason for it because it's just the natural workings of the market. There's just an explanation to it. It's like evolution in that way.
So with Ethereum staking, you have it acting in the same way as stocks do. In that people will tend to take the dividends of their stock and then buy more of that stock with the dividends.
Which is a fine strategy.
Yeah,
There's
it
nothing
is.
ward with that.
However, the effect of doing this is that when you have people who were closer to the money spigot, then they would just, it was an exponential function, and they would eat up way more and way more. So the more money you had, the more money you were getting paid, the more money you were getting to get stocks, the more money you had. And it was just the poor got poorer and the rich got richer.
Well, the way to solve that problem then is
to not have a money spigot.
Well, the money spigot is always, well, I won't say always, but it's generally the mining apparatus.
Well, and that's the thing. The mining apparatus isn't a spigot because it's not all the water coming from one source. It's rain. It's a mist. Like you have this cloud of potential. Any one of these miners anywhere in the world could hit it every 10 minutes. In the
That's
case of BTC.
what she said.
Nice. Nice.
But the
so since you don't have a money spigot, you don't have to deal with that problem.
Now, the extreme of turning it into rain, though, would be my idea of a zero-sum currency, where basically whenever you create, the way that you create this currency is by agreeing with another person to create some. And it can be anybody who holds a wallet. And basically, like you and I might say, let's create some of this currency. So I give you $100 in cash, and you give me $100 worth of this currency, but you keep a debit of, so if your wallet was at zero when you did this, you would now have negative 110 of these things. And so it's called a zero-sum currency because every credit has an equal and opposite debit. So if you take every account in the system and add their balance and find the sum, it's zero. And I think it's kind of a cool idea because by letting anybody create money and by letting them denominate it any way they want, because that's the other thing is when you have a zero-sum coin, it doesn't matter what you denominate it in. So you could have a credit and a debit for a pound of weed. You could have a credit or a debit for an ounce of gold. You could have a credit or a debit for a Bitcoin.
So I don't see why you do the debit for
How
it,
do you
though.
spend debits?
Yeah.
Well, you don't spend debits.
How do you get more credits?
But you get more credits by basically when you produce something and you trade it for credits, that creates more credits because you obtain
so what would my incentive be to
not hitherto?
But the origin story that you were telling just now is like you give him $100 and he gives you whatever the $100 equivalent of whatever this currency is, right? So now he's got it, but he has the $100, I guess. So
he has $100, so we are balanced.
Okay,
it's just that
I end up with $100 and a 100 anti this currencies.
Right. But I was going to ask how can he afford to pay somebody in credits for the things he needs to start his thing that he does?
Well, let's say
his business or whatever.
Let's say that at another time, you and he have done an identical transaction, okay? And it's still a third time you and I have done a transaction like that.
Okay, but I wouldn't do a transaction without understanding how.
Well, no, but you explain how to play a game by explaining how to play the game.
Okay, so hold on.
So wait. Let me get the thought out.
Right.
So once that's happened, Okay. I've got a credit with him and a debit with you. He's got a credit with you and a debit with me. You've got a credit with him and a debit with me.
Yeah.
I probably pointed the wrong way for some
That's
of
fine.
those.
I understand.
But nobody, so pretend I wasn't even pointing, but you should be able to figure out what I'm saying. So basically, when that happens, when you create a cycle, all the transactions disappear from the books.
Okay, so what starts the engine?
What starts the engine is he and I made an agreement to.
What starts the engine is I want $100 from him,
Yeah.
and I want to give myself the credit to get that $100.
It's recording a debt, basically.
Except he's got
signing-
the debt.
Right.
So if I then
every
come
debt
along and
is
do
between-
$100 of say painting your garage or whatever,
Yep.
and you've made a deal with him where like he paid you in this currency pluses. Like I can get this currency pluses from you, and then I can cancel out my minuses so that I don't look like a deadbeat who just keeps getting, printing his own.
What about the guy
credit.
who has no debits or credits?
Well, then he has the best credit of all.
He's not a user of the system, so he doesn't even get considered.
How does he get considered later?
Well, no,
By
hold
trading
on.
something for credits.
Right, a person could trade their labor for plus signs to
Yes.
someone who, and then they wouldn't even be making their own credit.
Or they could trade their labor, or they could trade anything else.
Yeah.
And they can denominate it. However
Okay, so you
they
could
want.
just trade good services, whatever, for the credit.
And so
Although, if
the
that happened,
example
then
I
it would-
gave was three people who happened to know each other. If the books in the local area balance, then it would be looking for longer and longer routes. So you could have a transaction. You could have a single cancellation that canceled out thousands of transactions in order to complete a circuit. But it's just like electricity. As soon as the circuit is completed, it's automatically discharged, ipso facto.
Although if you had someone who came in and did some work for some positive of that currency and
Sure,
then never
yes.
spent it, you could have debt that would just last someone's whole life.
You could, and you would want there to be, encouragement to pay back. Now, some of that could be social by just publicizing the balance. And probably what you would want to do on a currency like that might be to allow the balance of at least public wallets to be looked up, so that people can see what your history is, and that would show, it would show your tendency to actually
Pay off your debts?
Yeah, clear your debits. And
That's a social credit score.
But the thing
But
is,
it's a voluntary one.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
But the thing is, if anybody else in the world owes you money, then they can pay themselves what this person owes by canceling out the debit. So if I owe you $100 and you owe him $100, but you're not paying him, that's okay because I can pay him on
fuck ain't
your
you paying
behalf.
me?
Huh?
Why the fuck ain't you paying me?
I got it.
Well,
I'm expanding
fucking
my
get it.
business. Give me a
Jesus
minute.
Christ, it's $100. Man.
No.
Fuck.
Well, the other thing is it gives you a choice of the equivalent of banking in a system like that would be say I trust the fuck out of the captain. I go to the captain and I give him $100 and I say, hey, could you do me a favor and put out a buy offer for my debt in the amount of $100, so that if people are deciding whether or not to take my credit, they know that they can liquidate it at that price right now. Now, if somebody isn't paying you, if somebody's a slow pay, one thing you could do is sell, like I used, when I was selling weed, I didn't do my own enforcement because it's not the kind of person that I want to be, but it has to be done. If, you can't have people borrowing money and not paying it back. So I had a guy, and I would sell my markers to him at at 50%. So I ate 50% of the loss. But then he would go and do things that I didn't want to do in order to get paid.
Very much like FinCEN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I'm more like a collection agency.
Okay.
Nice.
But basically, and that allowed me to be the guy that I naturally am, which is I don't like having, uncomfortable interactions with people.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
conflict.
Yeah. Some people love it. Some people hate it.
Yeah. So I would rather pay somebody else to deal with it.
Right.
So that's, but if somebody looks out on at the market and says, "Oh, this guy wants me to take his marker," but yet his credit is selling for 70 cents on the dollar.
Right.
Well, that's not a good credit risk because you don't sell a good credit risks currency at a discount.
Right.
Or you don't sell their debt at a discount.
Well, let me ask you guys an esoterical question, because I've been thinking about the phrase social credit score, and I'm like, isn't that what reputation is?
Yeah.
It is, but the difference is a social credit score reputation is distributed. Social credit is not distributed. It's centralized. So basically, it allows one person to be the arbiter of your.
Sure, you have to be given the score by the state or something like that. I get that that's the difference, but I'm just saying
the state thinks
forcibly
I'm a piece of shit.
But I'm just saying
But you guys don't agree, so you can still trade with me.
Right.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, if the terminology social credit score didn't imply a boogeyman, state-sponsored, Orwellian watch over people, like, does it not describe reputation? Like, if I want to know, if I want to do business with one of you guys, and I've never met either of you, but I know somebody who knows you, and I inquire about your character, and they go, yeah, nobody's a legit guy. He's on the up and up, and I go ahead and do business with you.
That's because nobody tells the truth.
Have I not inquired about your social credit score and received a scoring?
You have, but from a distributed system.
Right.
Okay. Because, I feel like reputation is the better system.
They're trying to do the opposite with reputation of what we're trying to do with money. We're trying to decentralize money, and they're trying to centralize reputation.
Yeah.
Right. So how
what it needs
do we
to be is a social credit market.
Explain.
Okay, so the difference between social credit score, it's one of those like loaded phrases like all lives matter, where it seems like a reasonable concept, but it's so divorced from its association, that still comes into the difference between them. Is this a forcibly centralized reputation, or is this a voluntary reputation system? Because a voluntary reputation system is a social credit market.
Yes.
Like, you might not like me as much as that person likes me, which means you won't owe me money.
Can you make an app for it?
Oh, yeah, I would definitely.
Voluntary reputation system?
Yeah.
Can you make an app for it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's more or less what I'm describing includes a voluntary. I didn't mention that, but the other thing that would be important would be basically having a way to not recognize a transaction, or to say that you feel you were screwed in that transaction. Okay. And so that's basically your eBay score or your Silk Road score, your reputation. And that's the other thing that tells people whether it's a good thing to do business with you. And the thing is, in order to send you money, then, if they really fuck somebody over, okay, they can create a new wallet, but this wallet will have zero history.
Right.
So they've sacrificed all of the public reputation points that they've got. Just like when you change social media, you sacrifice all your followers.
Right.
So So basically, you can't prevent somebody from having a new account, but by making one of the published things about an account, the
if you had if you had an empty account, it'd be what you would expect from like a child who has just been trusted with their wallet.
Yeah,
like you
or
have
a virgin account.
You have just entered the market, so like unless you know them, you realize that's a heavily risky thing to do.
Yeah. So basically,
this has no history, so that's really high risk. I better be getting a good deal or actually have some inside information and know that, oh no, this is this person's kid who just came into the market and they're good.
Yeah.
What about people who aren't in the market at all? How do they get started? How do they get into the market?
So that's the thing.
I would design it
by what it sounds like, you'd be
and also
able to
like I think a bigger
own,
question that I have is when it comes to broadcasting things, reputation, for example. I want the ability to turn it on and off at will. Right. I want to be able to.
That's a client side issue.
I'm just saying, like, I want to be
side would certainly
like, I don't want to,
for
like, if I don't want it broadcast, I want to be able to turn it off. And furthermore, if I only want to share it with one individual or one entity, I want to be able to do that, and only for a period of time that we specify ahead of time, right? So I don't know. Think an employment situation, right?
There's nothing that can be
like,
done.
I can show just my
time.
employer, my reputation score, and they go, okay, sweet, and then that's it.
And with the time you've got an issue, because once your program, your server or whatever has given information to another party, there is no way
you can't get it back.
You can't get it back.
Yeah.
You can't confirm that they've destroyed it. You can confirm that they've destroyed 10,000 copies of it, but they might have made 10,001, and there's no way of knowing that.
So the closest you'd be able to do with that one, I think, is you have your like main wallet, and that's where your primary reputation is. And you say, okay, well, you're a corporation, and I don't really like corporate gigs, but I will set a separate wallet for you for this employment. I will stamp that I did this wallet in my one that has a good reputation, but I really don't want people looking into my working for this crap company.
The other
Unless
thing,
I do. And then I go, okay, well, here's the address for when I worked at that company.
The other thing it would allow for is something that some libertarians used to call for years ago, called contract insurance. So basically a company would pay 2% of every contract that they entered into to some central entity.
Sure.
And then that central entity, if the other side reneged on the contract, then the other side would have a refund. That's just a variation on the because you're the currency.
That's a fantastic mechanism.
Yeah. Because you're the currency in the bank, you're able to reverse any transaction if you want to.
And now apply that to cryptocurrency.
Oh, well, I am.
I'm sorry. This currency. Sorry.
Well, that's exactly how it would
Visa.
work in this currency that I'm.
Okay.
Whoa, hold on. How does that
describing.
work? How would you be able to reverse a charge in this currency that you're talking about?
No, it's the insurance company takes the hit and reimburses the guy,
gotcha.
and then it's up to them to figure out whether or not they're going, if they're contracted with the other company or settle with their insurance company, just like insurance works now,
right?
Yeah. For like automobiles, for example.
Okay, so it's not the
And
same as taking
generally,
it
they
back.
would be doing some risk pooling.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that I absolutely hate about Ethereum too. Like the genesis of its existence when it split from Ethereum Classic was they went, "Oh, that was a scam." Yeah, but they agreed to it. They went, but that was a scam, so we're gonna roll it back. We're gonna have a whole split here where that scam didn't affect people. That was the whole point of having a permanent record, is that you don't roll it back.
Well, the thing is, though, it's not clear that is always the best way to do business. As a matter of fact, there are times, I think, when it's probably better to be able to roll something back. But since both Ethereum and Bitcoin exist, you can choose for each transaction what properties you want that transaction to have. Okay, so I say that's a feature, not a bug, just because it's different from Bitcoin. And so it gives you another choice without taking a choice away from you.
Yeah, like in the software to hardware world, sometimes somebody put out a revision and folks will go install it and it'll generate a bunch of, support incidents for the manufacturer. And they'll have to go, oh, well, it looks like we fucked up. And the way that you cure that is you downgrade them to the previous version to get their shit working while your development department figures out what went wrong.
Another
when you make that kind
important thing, imagine this property in a cryptocurrency.
Okay.
If the government seizes it, it turns to dust in their fingers as soon as we find out, because we know what wallet it is, and then it gets returned to the person it was stolen from.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you have that, then you have a centralization. Because you have this group that is saying, we know for sure that this is what happened, and this is why you need to roll this off of your records.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's no longer a trust-free system. You're basically building a tort system into your currency. Now, that's not necessarily a good thing, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
It is actually.
Well, I would say it depends on what the actual integrity of this company is. And when I say this company, I mean whatever structure makes its decisions. Because, you do expect there to be a tort system in existence, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. So why should there not be currencies that have tort systems built into them?
Because it's a bad place for them.
See, I think it's the perfect place for them because it's the only place that can make the victim whole every single time just by reversing a transaction or by issuing 2 new transactions.
Okay, so you need there to be both. You need there to be a level on which you have a contract with them that is written out in code. And it will just execute itself.
Now,
you also need a level at which there are no backsies.
But they don't have to be in the same blockchain, and they shouldn't be. That's part of the Unix philosophy, is that each tool should do exactly one thing. So if you have, Richcoin and Leecoin, and Leecoin is no backsies and Richcoin is backsies, then I should stay in my lane and not try to do your job. And you should stay in your lane and not try to do my job. But we should work to make interchange between us as easy as possible. Okay? Allowing people to use no backseat coin when they want to use no backseat coin, but also use an insured coin or
except that you're competing over liquidity. Price. And since you're competing over liquidity, there will be one winner.
Not okay.
There will always be one thing that is less.
Is a competition for liquidity, and there is not one winner because each individual user of a coin is an individual human being with his own preferences. Some people prefer Ethereum. Some people dislike Ethereum. Some people prefer BTC. Some people dislike BTC. Some people prefer Monero. Some people dislike Monero. Okay? So there's never going to be one winner because there's more than one consumer. And what this becomes conceptually from an economic model is a set of companies that basically provide a service, but when you pay for the service, you pay them in their own stock.
The evolution of currency here on Beard Talk Live. It's time to call it, guys.
Okay.
Thank you to our callers, our listeners. Thanks, nobody. Thanks, Peakless.
Thank you, Captain.
It has been a pleasure. I'm going to take us out.
Peace, love, and reliable contraceptives. Black Lives Matter, and I should be back on Free Talk Live on Friday.
Well, I wish good
And
money
that's
to all.
that was not an endorsement of the corporation, just the concept.
Thanks, everybody. Peace. I'm going to take us out. Well, I think we all know what happens when we put our left hand in.
Turn yourself